Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. It is the 22nd day of March 2013, and it's all unfolding. Every day gets more out of control, more insane, more wild, more tyranny, just absolutely out in the open with everyone. They're just admitting that the Pentagon and international agencies and other corporate groups just spy on everything you do, living in a glass house while they make what they do totally secret and arrest reporters all over Europe and the United States that report on corruption when they should get Pulitzer Prizes for it. Now U.S. plans calls for more scanning of private web traffic email. That's out in Reuters. More scanning. It's not snooping. It's not spying. It's scanning. The head of one of the heads of one of the IT areas of this operation, we're now doing a study of it. We're now catching Google when we begin to type something. Before we even type it, it knows what we're going to type. Undoubtedly, they've got it activated. They had a patent out 8 years ago on it to have the microphones listening with keyword software to then direct you towards ads and things. And that sounds crazy. It is crazy, and we know they have that technology, and we're starting to have instances of it with multiple crew members. So now we're going to try to set up cameras and screen capture systems and actually catch this in the act. I mean, they say they've got it. They say they're using it, but it's like just out there. It's kind of like the government runs Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria, but now they're in the news today saying we may need to invade Syria because of Al-Qaeda, and we're declaring Al-Qaeda in Syria terrorist while they run them and arm them. And again, we talk about this so much, but it just shows how it's all hiding in plain view. In fact, Lou Rockwell is reporting, will the U.S. really condemn terrorists in Syria? And then it basically echoes what I wrote yesterday with Paul Watson, Obama now global head of Al-Qaeda. Will President order drone strike on White House? And, of course, that's absurdist. He's not going to do that on himself. Just as it's absurdist, they're running the terrorist publicly, and no one will call them on it, even though it's in hundreds of newspapers that, oh, yes, the West funds them and runs them, but we need to take all your rights because of the terrorists. And by the way, the terrorists are now gun owners and veterans. And the good old boys are still like, well, get rid of my freedom then. I'm Al-Qaeda. I love hating Muslims so much. If you say the Tea Party's with us, you know, with Al-Qaeda, if you say we're with them, then arrest me. I mean, it's just Alice in Wonderland writ large, and it's getting worse by the minute. Then there's, of course, video stills that have been released of TSA making a double amputee Marine Corps veteran get up and walk on his stumps. And by the way, I've seen this with old ladies who are clearly going home to die. There's been cases of this in the news where someone's going home to die in Michigan. I've seen them make people get out of wheelchairs where they can't get up, and they're yelling at them, and they won't help them. And then they make people in line pick them up like it's a prison, and then you see the people reeling in pain, you know, with their back blown out, and they rip bandages, colostomy bags, and feces sprays everywhere. I mean, this is all on record. Urology bags. They'll even rip, the urology bags they use actually go into ports in the body, and they'll jerk those out of your body, and it's all part of sacraments of desecration of America to train us to be good little slaves. I mean, it's all just entering total and complete cuckoo land. And yeah, you guys just had that article actually pulled up. You can go to the actual article. We just have the blurb, and it has the the video still images. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and click on the Washington Times. At least the version I have actually has the video stills on it. But them making the guy get up. All right, we'll be right back. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. We've got the Life Straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
Hi, I'm Janet Napolitano, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security begins with hometown security.
It seems apparent that our citizens are staying off the streets, which may make scoring particularly difficult, even with this year's rule changes. To recap those revisions, women are still worth 10 points more than men in all age brackets, but teenagers now rack up 40 points, and toddlers under 12 now rate a big 70 points. The big score, anyone, any sex, over 75 years old, has been upped to 100 points. As always, how fast you move determines how long you live.
It's Friday.
Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God.
Oh, yeah.
It's Alex Jones.
All right, launch. Primary ignition. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central, 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. to noon Pacific, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain, or Montana time. We are here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, first off, I tweeted earlier today and made the point that this could be Obama's Waterloo. This could be Obama's Watergate. This could be Obama's Bastille Day. This could be the end of the Obama cult that the globalists are trying to push here in the United States to bring in collectivism to domesticate the general population while imploding the nation to offshore our wealth to mega-rich who are exempt. The very same mega banks imploding Europe, signing them on to their debts. And what is that Waterloo? What is that big battle they can lose? It is the bullets. It is the fact that they bought billions of bullets and tens of thousands of armored vehicles the last 4 years. It's just 2,700 big armored vehicles in the last few months they purchased. And they are domestically deploying them. We have an article up at Infowars.com that's on FEMA's website that ties it all together, where FEMA is training local police to be federalized for civil unrest, riots, civil war, mass casualty drills. I mean, they're training for all-out war. And the Army Times admits they're training for the military to be used for gun confiscation, and there's Army manuals for gun confiscation, and Army manuals for FEMA camps and how to process us with the Social Security numbers, and all our articles are up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com with the links going directly to FEMA.gov and Army.mil. So if you're mainstream media or Congress people that listen to the show, because I know a lot of them do, and you're saying, you know, where is this? Just type in Army Manual for Gun Confiscation in U.S., Army Manual for FEMA Camps for Americans, FEMA Manual for Federalization of Police Urban Warfare Preparations in America. It's all there. You can search those terms, and you won't just have Infowars.com at the top. Under it will be Army.mil, FEMA.gov. It's all right there. Click it. Go read it. And you know, we've written articles about this, and there'll be trolls under the articles saying, this isn't for America, move along. And then we show the Social Security numbers, how it's for America, videos of their own website showing drills for confiscation in America. It is for America. This is Program L, FFE of FEMA, 2013, Field Force Extraction Tactics. That's grabbing people off the streets. That's snatch and grab. We saw them practicing on real people up at the G20 when Rob Dew got arrested. The famous footage of guys in military uniforms with no patches jumping out of police sedans, unmarked, and just snatching innocent press and dragging them in. And then we later learned, we said, oh, that's U.S. National Guard. Because they had and we got a call from G20, Global Security, with that number from the security forum, because our articles got picked up everywhere, and said, that is national security authorized private security. And we just want you to know that we have been instructed to tell you that was not the National Guard. And then they hung up on Rob Jacobson. They called his number. I call them back, and they go, you've been given your answer? And that is it, and hung up. And it was the field security number. So I called other numbers, and they wouldn't talk to us after that. They just called up to say, that is our private security. And it turned out those weren't real people. They were arresting thousands of real people for no reason. They were randomly snatching and grabbing and throwing people into sedans and unmarked vans as a psyop to see what the media would do. They would go to the media area, the authorized media throng, and grab someone. And I called it. I said, that guy is laughing after he's thrown in the back of the police car and doesn't look concerned, that reporter. Guys, for TV viewers, type in snatch and grab Pittsburgh G20, and there's a bunch of footage of it on YouTube with millions of views. Just type that and we can show viewers, but listeners can go look it up. Then in Canada at the G20 a few years ago, they started doing it, but then they shifted live. Some of it was real. And then they started grabbing real people. They went and grabbed people in front of the media to see if the media would say anything. And then when they didn't, they went live. I mean, they have got this scientifically broken down. Yep, here they found some of the footage. Yep, boom. Gold sedan pulls up. Men in U.S. Army uniforms grab them, cram them in the back of the vehicle. You notice that one moment of smiling and giggling. The guy's not really fighting him. Because if he really would have fought him, they'd have bounced his head off the ground like a bowling ball or like a basketball with pleasure and extreme prejudice. Anyways, there you go. That's not even one of the best res versions of it. There's a better res one out there. And there's a bunch of those. And then now the real black vans show up and they grab real people. See, they tested, can we run a North Korean op And America said, we love North Korea. And they said, we're going to hammer your butt then. And now in Austin, they go, you don't hand magazines out, and you don't have a bumper sticker. Until I came down there and said, I'm going to sue you. And then the word came down from Arde Saveda. Aaron called the police, got all the names, what happened, and told him, don't do that. He can hand out magazines. But the point is, I mean, what if I didn't know the police chief? I mean, in America, this is what we've become. And it's like, oh, big deal. You understand how creepy that is? You understand the magnitude? This is their Waterloo. This is how it works. We either gain everything or we lose everything. They're going for it all. We go for it all. You understand that? If they can buy 2 billion bullets, 10,000 plus armored vehicles the last 4 years. I mean, we've videoed them in Austin, big, giant, black, huge, heavy armor. These things can take, heavy rockets, heavy mines, IEDs. Big, giant, black FEMA vehicles all over the country photographed. You've seen them. I've seen them. Every major police department's got Korean War, Vietnam, and then now even modern six-wheeled strikers, warriors, all these big vehicles that the military's getting rid of. I mean, I've shot video. I can take you up to the DPS storage yard north of Austin and show like 9 of them lined up last time I was there. I mean, these look like the thing on a Red Dawn the Soviets drive. Big, six-wheeled deals. And they're just like, doesn't exist, doesn't exist, doesn't exist. I mean, that's actually in the news every day. There are no armored vehicles. There are no bullets. There's black helicopter drills all over the country where they blow up part of a building and terrorize people and then go on the news and say, does not exist. They've been doing that for 20 years. It can be in the Houston Chronicle that a Delta Force helicopter crashes, killing people. A building blows up, and the local news said didn't happen. Didn't happen in the Houston Chronicle, but Soldier of Fortune got the photos and videos from locals and put stills of it in their magazine. By the way, I've had the Colonel on before. We ought to get the head of Soldier of Fortune on sometime. He's an interesting guy. The point is that this is the type of stuff. Okay, I mean, look, helicopters were crashing, blowing up, drills everywhere, and I start covering it, and the newspaper comes out and says I'm crazy. I mean, that is a psyop, ladies and gentlemen, but here's the deal. If that was a 1 on a Richter scale in 1996, 97, 98, 99, when Clinton was thinking about martial law and going into police stations all over the country, Delta Force was, and saying, we may bring in martial law. Are you for that? And handing them giant briefcases full of $100 and $1,000 bills. 150, 200,000, police chief, mayor, entire city council. And when I interviewed Chief Ale Philippus, that's online, Alex Jones interviews San Antonio police chief, he'd been in the military, he'd been in Vietnam, he'd been in Army intelligence. He thought it was a setup to sting him or something. And then he said no, obviously, and then found out most of the city took the money. How does Delta Force take over? Or how do Special Forces take over in Iraq? They bought off almost all the Iraqi generals before using Nazi blitzkrieg tactics. You're like, blitzkrieg's a lightning war, not buying people off. Oh, you don't know about the blitzkrieg, do you? That's actually not true. The blitzkrieg began with a 2-year program to buy off almost the entire French command and offer them dictatorship position out of the city of Vichy, France. And that's why Hitler defeated them so fast. Only the British fought a little bit and then ran to Dunkirk. See, this is all history. It's in the mainline history books. You're just not taught it. So they're running a Nazi program, a blitzkrieg program, so that everybody's bought off or they know who isn't bought off when they launch their attack and decapitate governors, legislatures, all of it. And you need to know when the helicopters are hitting the local mayor and they're hitting the local capitol and they're hitting the local station and they're hitting it and attacking it and got, miniguns out the windows saying terrorists are in there, that's the takeover. And folks, those are going to be UN troops in many cases in those craft with collaborators who are so stupid or who are mercenaries and believe this is part of the attack and believe they're really killing terrorists. Okay, they've already done the buying off, the paying off over 20 years. They believe they've got us, or they think they do. So we either gain everything in this by learning of their sneak attack plan, because I'm like a guy in France running around in 1939 going, they're going to attack, they're going to attack. And there were people doing that. They're like, shut up, conspiracy theorist. We either realize the attack, they lose everything in this, or they go hide. And what will precipitate it? Something like a small atomic bomb going off that they'll blame on us. Now, I'm going to break this down when we get back. How to defeat them. If you don't want to go under New World Order control, totally. Well, stay with us.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
March into big spring preparedness savings this month at BePrepared.com. Going on now. Emergency Essentials and BePrepared.com save you 28% off your favorite beef and chicken combo entrees. Save 24% on number 10 cans of freeze-dried raspberries. Or save 26% on our freeze-dried strawberry slices with purchase of 12 or more. Katadyn Pocket Micro Water Filters are 27% off. Try our fruit-flavored Hydro-Pack Combo Water Filtering Pouches. In March, buy 5 10-packs for a 50% discount. Stock up on wheat with a year's supply of grains for $70 off, only at BePrepared.com. And this month, power up with a Goal Zero Sherpa 50 solar-powered recharging kit at $110 off MSRP, and we'll throw in a free $50 Emergency Essentials gift card. The March sale ends March 31st at BePrepared.com. For contents and details, call Emergency Essentials at 800-999-1863 or click BePrepared.com. The choice is clear. Be unprepared or BePrepared.com.
Ceramic body armor is rated to stop 6 hits. But what about the 7th? Unlike ceramic or Kevlar, Infidel body armor is proven to take hit after hit, and it just won't quit. Reasonably priced and designed for the smart civilian prepper, Infidel stops hundreds of hits from small arms to high-powered rifles. That means safety and peace of mind. Buy yours at InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled I-N-F-I-D-E-L bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor just won't quit.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it led back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a silver dollar in a book explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Time and time again.
You need to come here and help us. We need assistance, please.
Those we should be able to depend on let us down.
Federal and state and local officials saying help is on the way. Well, the folks here in Bell Harbor say, show me.
Don't depend on the government to save you. Take action now so that you're prepared for the next disaster with MyPatriotSupply.com. Get the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Call 866-229-0927.
We are hurting down here, and we need help immediately.
Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Eastbound and down.
Loaded up and trucking.
Are we going to do what they say can't be done?
We got a long way to go.
We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch no bandit run.
By the way, I'm not kidding. When I get up here on the air and I break these things down, this is what I really believe. And, of course, we're going to be criticized if we hold all this back and we stop their other false flags. People are going to say, oh, why didn't they take over? As they slowly take over with the highway checkpoints and the gun restrictions and say, oh, yeah, the NSA is spying on everything you do. That's back in the news today. I'd talk about that a decade ago, 15 years ago, and literally be laughed at. I'd be called in the program director's office and say, Alex, the government isn't listening to all our phone calls with something called Echelon. This actually happened. Now, I'm getting calls about this, and you're making stuff up. And I'm like, no. You know, here it is. You know, this ABC News reporter's broken it down, and it's really happening. And it's at all the phone companies. Everything's wired through it. And just, Alex, you know, you got a future, but you need to just stop making this stuff up. And by the way, I've gotten some calls by the owners, you know, up in Scranton, Ohio, or whatever it was. And they've had some heat put on them. They don't want any more talk about these urban warfare drills, black helicopters and stuff, okay? Just kind of do your conservative thing and drop it. And by the way, don't talk about my Marines ever again. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and it's unpatriotic for you to, because I'd gone and shot footage of Marines training to take guns. And I said, I'm not against Marines, but they shouldn't be told to go do unconstitutional things. Are you concerned? He goes, listen, I'm being nice to you. You're fired. You're fired if you talk about it again. And I'm like, because at first he's being all smiley. You know, he slaps his hand down and goes, you're fired. You talk about them again. And if you talk about Bill Clinton, or if you talk about Governor Bush, you're done. In fact, I want you to talk about more about relationships. And I'm like, is this a joke? He goes, I'm not joking with you. And I said, but I mean, I'm not saying the German soldiers were bad at first. It was that they were being given bad orders. And he said, get out of my office. And then a few months later, I had the BBC there with me coming to interview me. And I, you know, walked in. It was during the day before my nighttime radio show. I had a show 6 days a week by then because of high ratings. A lot of sponsorship, very successful, huge buzz. National TV covering us all the time because the stories we were breaking. And he walks up and smiles and he goes, get your stuff and get your butt out of here. You're fired. And he just enjoyed it so much and just smiled at me. And that's an example of all the minions in the system that don't even know why they're being told something. Oh, he also in the talk said, they're really upset about Jay Leno talking about you. And I said, what's wrong with that? Jay Leno talked about some of the reports I was doing. Did it again recently. And I said, what's wrong with that? I said, I got ratings. People are listening. I'm telling the truth. And he said, look, you're fired if you don't shut up. And then a few months later said, I told you. He was just smiling. He was just like, you're fired. Get your stuff. Your career's over. And I said, I've already do a show out of my house that's bigger than this. They go, oh, yeah, your imaginary show. I was on like 10 stations at that time through a little Patriot network that Ted Anderson was part of. Well, I guess Ted had actually taken it over. The point is that, and I don't know why I'm even getting off into this, it's just that you come face to face with people that tell you you're not going to talk about this because it's powerful, ladies and gentlemen, that the military has been turned against us secretly and is training to take our guns, and that's now public. That's woken the military up. That's woken the veterans up. So the government's saying the veterans are the #1 terrorist in all their new reports that are public that we broke but are now household, stories. I mean, think about that. The government runs Al-Qaeda and says they're good, but that the new Al-Qaeda is veterans, gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, those that believe in a second coming of Christ. This is all official. That's the bad guys. That's the bad guys. They're saying real Americans are the terrorists. I mean, come on. This should completely backfire on them. And it is backfiring. I'm going to cover this when we come back. Big Sis refuses to answer Congress on bullet purchases. This is linked up on drudgereport.com on the left-hand side. Going viral everywhere right now, over 1,000 comments. Now, expanding on that story, find it on drudgereport.com as it's rolled off our front page. Click on that right there, please. Go ahead and click on that at drudgereport.com. Good. Oh, InfoWars is getting so much traffic, it's not even loading in there. Okay. Try it again. There you go. Big Sis refuses to answer Congress on bullet purchases. Now, look at the update right there. 14 members of Congress demand investigation of Obama ammo hoard. What did I say 2 weeks ago and last week? I said, if we hammer this and you call everybody in Congress and you make a big deal out of this, this is going to become a congressional hearing. Just like Fast and Furious, but this has really captured people's understanding and imagination. We can defeat them with this. This can be their Watergate if you make it.
We're on the march The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out SimpliSafe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but SimpliSafe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimpliSafe.com.
If you're listening, you know your basic freedoms are being threatened every day. If you're listening, you know the economy is not getting better. You know gas and food prices are skyrocketing. Now is the time to get prepared. For years, we've told you about our friends at eFoods Direct. They have the best tasting, long-term storable food on the planet. This food will taste just as great 25 years from now as it does tonight. A long-term food supply allows you to freeze the cost and the availability of the one thing you need most. Be prepared and get your supply from eFoods Direct. Right now is the best time to stock up and save hundreds of dollars with free shipping on all food supplies. Give yourself peace of mind and be prepared. Act now and call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Get free shipping on all orders for a limited time. Call 800-409-5633 or go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you were with us or you were with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Guns will be taken. No one will be able to be armed. We're going to take all guns.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Global governance at last. Is it one world? The central bankers in charge. But aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do?
As for me, give me liberty or give me death!
Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
All right, let me calmly go over the news here. let me just calmly go over the fact that we have globalist collaborators that have been financed, run for office, put in power, placed for decades as they looted America, as they took over pension funds and invested them in fraudulent derivatives to steal the money, to wreck society, as they militarized police, as they had Hollywood condition us in every movie I go see. There's police checkpoints on the highway randomly searching everyone to condition you. There's troops on the highway. We're all just, when we watch television, you watch dramas, sitcoms, anti-family messages, anti-gun messages, on record paid for with your tax money. They pay Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, all of them, government, what they call behavior placement money. I call it propaganda placement. They've been doing it for 60 years, but now the budgets in some cases are 100 times what they were. I mean, it is incredible. Bush spent something like $8 billion in media, in fake news, just to get No Child Left Behind through, which was to federalize education. Oh, so conservative. Remember, just $250,000 paid to that radio talk show host? Remember that? What was his name? The black radio host and columnist. I've interviewed him before that all happened. $250,000 to have one conservative push it. There was $8 billion spent. They had a congressional investigation. $8 billion. $8 billion just to get one program passed. You're talking about money. That's why you turn on any show. Call CPS. This woman's not giving her child vaccines. She's putting cigarettes out on them. To equate not taking shots with putting cigarettes out on them. My wife, goes, I'd like to watch some TV sometime, late at night when you're at work or kids are asleep. She goes, I'd like to watch it when I'm on the stair stepper. She goes, it's everything. Every drama, every cop show, every medical shows. Women love those. She comes and goes, this one, that one. It's so incredible. But the general public is just there basting and marinating up to their eyeballs in it, having no idea. And cops are all TV heads, too. So when they pull you over and you got an NRA sticker, they're like, what's that? What are you doing? You a terrorist? I mean, this is what's going on. It is incredible mind control. And they've got people so disconnected from reality. The central government, run by offshore globalists, publicly created Al-Qaeda. I put an article out yesterday about Obama runs Al-Qaeda. He's the titular head of it worldwide. We have all the proof in the article. And I tweeted it. And I saw the comments on the Twitter. And one guy was like, oh, Alex, it's what, you have selective historical memory? It was Reagan that helped create the Taliban and Al-Qaeda to fight the Russians. Our article says that. It was actually Jimmy Carter and Zbigniew Brzezinski. But yeah, it's not about partisan. It's about, this is a long-term program. The point is, it's never been so massively funded with 10,000 heat-seeking missiles plus that can shoot down aircraft given to Al-Qaeda. And then they separately say, we've got to invade Syria because Assad's with Al-Qaeda. Our government runs Al-Qaeda, attacks this innocent country, murdering people, chopping Christians' heads off, blowing up synagogues, churches, and mosques. They just blew up the biggest Sunni mosque there that supports the government and doesn't support Al-Qaeda. That's Sunni out of Saudi Arabia. They just killed him and blew up a bunch of people in the mosque. In fact, type in bombing in Syria. It just happened this morning. And there's photos of just everybody splattered in one of the mosques. They sent Al-Qaeda in, the Wahhabis, Sunnis, to blow up Sunnis. And our media is hailing it. It was a victory against Assad, his #1 Sunni backer, dead. And then I saw another article implying Assad did it. Did Assad have hand in it? I mean, Mohammed Karzai, on record, a total opium dealer, Unocal executive, put in by the West. But even Bush, 4 or 5 years ago, or I guess 6 years ago now, they're in a press conference, and he goes, Bush was like, we need to hit Iran. They're supporting Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. And Karzai, knowing this is going to be broadcast all over the Middle East and Central Asia, knowing how ridiculous that is, says, sir, your excellency, I apologize for correcting, but I must. Because, it was like saying the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Redskins. It was, that ridiculous. He goes, sir, respectfully, you can pull this up. And he goes, sir, respectfully, Iran is our biggest ally against Al-Qaeda, sir. They are Shiite sworn enemies of Al-Qaeda. And Bush is like, nope, you're incorrect. He goes, yes, sir. Because, you know, I mean, over there, they are incredibly informed about this because they're all killing each other constantly. Shiite, Sunni, Alawites, all little subgroups, the Zoroastrians, you know, all of it. And so it was just so ridiculous. But here it's like, we've got to attack Syria there with Al-Qaeda, and now we're told we've got to invade all of Africa with Africa, and Al-Qaeda's got Libya. Isn't that horrible? And it's newsflash, Al-Qaeda Libya, striking and U.S. drones to deal with them. Our government put them in. And then good old boys go, Alex, we're just funding the Arabs to kill each other. That's how you get things done. I say the more of them are dead, the better. The New World Order hates you a lot more than they hate the Arabs and the Muslims. Good old boys. You are the #1 terrorist. That's what they're training for, is to take your gun and put you in a forced labor camp. Okay? They'd like to do that. That's on record. So get that through your brain real good. And military and all you CIA people and black ops folks, you're all going to be killed later. You're going to be long knifed, neither the long knives. You are the biggest chump idiots there are. I mean, I've seen all these guys with their, you know, the little goatees and the shaved heads and walking around like they're all tough and evil. You're not evil. You're dead. And you're going to hell. How's that, losers? You cozied up to Satan. Okay, take your shots. Enjoy yourselves. Drink some fluoride. Your whole family's cursed. Unless you hit your knees and repent to God. You're pathetic. Real men would stand up for justice and stand up against evil and stand up against the psyops. Believe me, when you go before God, he's going to say, I know you not. I know, a lot of you, though, you're into evil, aren't you? And you don't think there's a God, do you? But deep down, you know there is. You know why you know there is? Because you've got a personal relationship with Satan. And so you know there's the other side of that equation, don't you? Yeah, you know. You know you're scared, and you should be. You will be a lot more scared. So I suggest if there's any humanity left in you, and any touch of God left in your soul before the door is fully closed to you, that you understand that you're fools and that you've been deceived. I mean, you guys, they trained you to kill innocent Muslims, over 1 million of them, and trained you to do all this evil, and most of them come home, get all drugged out, commit suicide. They're so depressed about it. But the rest of you guys get off on it, and now the script is flipped, and you just like to kill people. You like to go out to Arizona to that former CIA pilot, grease him and his kids. Oh, you're a real tough man because you can shoot little kids. Oh, I know. You think that's a mark of your strength that you can shoot little kids in the head. That's easy to do. You people, you like it. That's because you're damned to hell. Not me. I'm not part of any of this, and my soul is not in your end of the ball field, okay? I just want that on record. Not in my name. I'm not involved in this. And everybody else better decide what side they're on. Everybody else better decide what they're going to stand with for eternity. Let me tell you something right now, folks. Stuff's going to get real serious in this country and real serious worldwide real fast. And if you're not right with God, I feel sorry for you. Now, most of the military's waking up, but they don't care. The globalists just throw you out, list you as mentally ill, try to inject you with deadly shots when you go to the VA. All their little frontline ponies get taken care of. But I just want that clear to all of you out there that think you're winning. You're not winning nothing. You're 30 years old, been serving the New World Order for a decade, think you're real tough, think you're on the winning team. You're going to be 60 before you know it. And then the shadows are going to be creeping across the floor at midnight when you wake up. Oh, you think I mean people coming to kill you? No, I mean the shadows that really matter. When the Grim Reaper comes for your soul, that's what I'm talking about. The skinny one. Hope you get ready. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue here. Oh, let's go over the news here. Here, I said I'd do it. Here, let's go over how we can defeat these people, okay? They have miscalculated in their giant arms build up against us, and they don't mind some of that leaking out because they think it scares people in the know. But people in the know now understand there's nothing left if we don't stop this. So you better be scared of not doing anything. You better be scared of waiting for them to come for you. You better be scared waiting for them to shut off our power plants and shut down the last of our jobs and put tens of millions more people on welfare to be dependent on their system, to vote out our guns, to vote out our families, to vote in forced inoculations, to vote in total tyranny. and the government tracking everything you eat and sleep and do. Look at this headline. Police departments beg and barter for ammo while DHS buys up 1.6 billion rounds in the past year. CNS News. Now, I thought that didn't exist, and now you've got AP and Reuters, everybody having to admit the bullets. Oh, doesn't that hurt the system? Saying the last year there were no bullets, there were no armored vehicles. By the way, everybody's going off old numbers. It's over 2 billion. It's been over 2 billion for at least 2 months, okay? There's your facts, okay? And yes, they're doing it to hoard bullets and drive up prices. I mean, they're going to companies and saying, whatever you can make, no matter how much you scale up, in the next 2 years, we're buying it. They've taken delivery of 1 billion. They got another 1 billion being made. And that's why you can't get the 308, the 223, the 40, the 9mm, all the things they use. So now they bought all that up where you can't get it, literally can't get it in most areas. So now they're making orders for hundreds of millions of weird ammos, you know, weird calibers. If they can't ban your guns, they're going to ban your bullets. I mean, this is what they're doing. I mean, you can watch. I got a little news flash for you, a bunch of globalists. Checkmate. If you think you got to get the bullets to move on us, we already knew you were coming before you did this. We already got bullets. We already got guns. And again, you're like, well, do you want to have an offensive attack? Absolutely not. My point is they're going to start stuff, okay, out of desperation. That's why we don't want to shoot first. In fact, I don't want the shooting to ever happen. I want to try to reach out to people in government, corporate systems, everywhere and say, hey, guys, I know you're all on power trips thinking you can't be stopped. Do you really want to go down this road? Do you really trust the people above you? Do you really think getting rid of checks and balances is a good idea? Do you really think butchering the whole Bill of Rights and Constitution is going to empower you as the government grows? You're crazy. Once they take over, they're going to shrink the size of the general government, as they always do, and you are going to be fired, and you're going to be listed as terrorists, and the guys that have done really dirty stuff, you're going to prison if you're lucky. You're going to be killed. Hell, they even may have a fake revolution where patriots take over and then purge you. I will oppose that without due process. I do think there should be Nuremberg trials for all you guys, just for what you planned if we beat you. But if you say you're going to give people the death penalty, they fight a lot harder. I mean, you know, for those that have done lesser things, you can leave, just like we did in 17, you know, at the end of the war, 1776, what, 4, 5, 6 years later? And then those of you that have committed the actual crimes and stuff, you need to go to prison. We'll release all the potheads out of the jails and all the drug offense people that you sold drugs to, and then we'll put you in there and let you bust some rocks for a while. But I don't have that in a vindictive way. I just, you need to be locked up, because let me tell you, you don't lock these people up, they're gonna regroup and come back at us. So they've got to be locked up, but they've got to have trials. They've all got to have trials with juries, but you're all going to prison, and you need to go to prison. And again, I would say let you leave, but you know, you can't be trusted. I'd like to end this as peacefully as possible, but people have to think big and realize we can beat them first, and realize they have outrageously overreached. Look, I told you last week and week before last, in shows, just foaming at the mouth, because I realized how important this was. Remember when I called in from the beach when I was off for a week, and it was Mike Adams and Aaron Dykes filling in, and I said, I have a plan to defeat them. We can defeat them. They're scared of this bullet story. That's why they've got 20 or so stories a day saying it doesn't exist, and saying Sarah Palin's insane, and Matt Drudge is insane, and Alex Jones is insane, and none of this exists. Why did Sarah Palin cover it? Because she knows they're scared of it. Look, whatever they're scared of, folks, is where we can get them. Because when it comes out, it's in the Army manuals. It's all public. They're trying to take our guns, and all the NRA's got to do is bring this out. They're always saying, don't be radical. Don't be like Alex Jones the kook, because I've got the winning game plan, which is just the reality. Going all the way, admitting these are bad people. Listen, they denied Fast and Furious for 2 years until it all came out. Congress is so scared of them and so blackmailed, they backed off, but it at least came out. They did stage that to blame the Second Amendment. And that's an important thing, because now people know they stage stuff. But on this thing, this has really captured people's imagination. And now up at Infowars.com, link through at the Drudge Report, we've updated that story. Big Sis refuses to answer Congress on bullet purchases. DHS staying mum as members probe for explanations. Now 14 members. It was 2 last week. Now it's 14 this week. It'll be 30-something next week. I told you exactly this, and you did it. You got the articles. You got them out. You called Congress. And I hope you know what I'm doing right now is if anything gets me killed, it's this, okay? I mean, I'm really going after them. I know how to beat them, okay? They're a bunch of collaborators like the Vichy French with the Nazis before the takeover. And if you don't call them out all the way, it's over. Right here. I'm calling them out. Right here. Obama now global head of al-Qaeda. You see that? You see this right here? Will president order drone strikes on White House? People go, that is outrageous. It is. It's outrageous he heads al-Qaeda while saying they're fighting al-Qaeda. I'm pointing it out that it shows the insanity of this. They think you're an idiot. Get out of your trance. Let me tell you something. We need to have congressional hearings about the Army manuals for gun confiscation, the Army manuals for re-education camps. It says re-education camp in the document. We need to force all this out, and then they won't blow up a city and blame it on us and bring in martial law. We got to block them.
If you're listening, you know your basic freedoms are being threatened every day. If you're listening, you know the economy is not getting better. You know gas and food prices are skyrocketing. Now is the time to get prepared. For years, we've told you about our friends at eFoods Direct. They have the best tasting, long-term storable food on the planet. This food will taste just as great 25 years from now as it does tonight. A long-term food supply allows you to freeze the cost and the availability of the one thing you need most. Be prepared and get your supply from eFoods Direct. Right now is the best time to stock up and save hundreds of dollars with free shipping on all food supplies. Give yourself peace of mind and be prepared. Act now and call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Get free shipping on all orders for a limited time. Call 800-409-5633 or go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
Weakened by GMOs, stressed out about money, and blasted by the electric environment. Hi, I'm Pastor Jenny, and that was the state I was in back in 2010. Then I learned about RNA drops. I learned that 97% of my DNA that scientists have called junk is actually packed with millions of gene switches that play a critical role in controlling how my cells, organs, and other tissues behave. I learned I don't have to put up with disease, decay, or decline like I'd been conditioned to believe. I began taking RNA drops, a 100% natural formula designed to turn on those switches and provide me with amazing health and joy. Learn more about RNA drops and order a free sample today. Visit rnafreesample.com. That's rnafreesample.com or call toll-free 888-577-3703. Pay only shipping and handling for a free 30-day supply of RNA drops. Get the information you need and the health you want at rnafreesample.com.
Is this the year you finally get serious about your family's drinking water? If so, keep listening for a special offer from Big Berkey Water Filters. Did you know that over 60% of municipal water is fluoridated? Berkey Water Filters distinguish themselves from many other filtration systems with the capability to significantly reduce dangerous chlorine, fluoride, arsenic, and disinfection byproducts from municipal water via the Black Berkey and PF line of filters. Then there's affordability. At only 1.7 cents per gallon, Berkey Water Filters purify treated and untreated water, even stagnant pond water. Stop and think how much money you could save by simply reducing buying bottled water and using water filtered by your Berkey water filter. No need to be constantly replacing expensive filters with a Berkey. A single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. Choose the best size Berkey for your needs at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And right now, all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Just call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY or visit BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. Free shipping on every order over $50. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
You know, I consciously talk about how they could kill me or set me up when I cover this stuff because I know history. I have a real handle on things. And I've been physically attacked and told to shut up before. I've had, gotten phone calls, my wife has, where they're listening and they tell you what you were just talking about. They do it when you're having a family crisis, which means they're listening all the time. I mean, I know how real this is. That's why I challenge you to come out and start fighting them. You will experience it at a low level and then really know how much trouble we're in. You don't really know about the vampires till you start going under the castle. And, you know, now to use that figurative analogy, the vampires are coming out, folks. They're coming out during the daytime. And we need to really understand this is not just politics as usual, corrupt politicians, okay, it'll be all right. They're making preparations to bring this country into total collapse. And they killed Breitbart. Okay, I know they killed him because they announced within 45 minutes of him being at the hospital that it was not foul play. I mean, that's a telltale sign right there. They didn't have the coroner report for like a month after. But they said it was, you know, he just died of a thing, and you know, we know 45 minutes after. I mean, that's totally illegal what they did. There's medical examiner laws. And then you look at the big announcement he was going to make and all the stuff that was going to come out, and then nothing ever came out. It scared everybody over there. Look, but see, here's the deal. If I give into that fear, they're going to win. And I'm thinking about it. Do I want to let them win? All the bad stuff they're doing, what they have planned for humanity, it is an honor to not play it safe and go all the way. I mean, it is really what I was meant to do as a human. And it's what you're meant to do. And I want to salute all of you out there who have stood up against evil as well. It's just that I realize that, because I've tested this, I've seen this, we're able to do this. Whenever we're able to push a TSA story out at the front, we're able to push a bullet story out at the front, we're able to push a gun confiscation report out at the front and make it become the debate and really hurt the system, because they need to be able to get all this ready and then roll it out after the crisis, after what they stage. They don't, I mean, they can't have me here telling you the magic trick before it happens. And I need your prayers. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, because we are effective. I mean, we have the White House responding to us routinely. We have their surrogates, Media Matters, which has a liberal cover, is a very vicious intelligence operation, a disinformation operation whose own memos admit they want to infiltrate alternative media and bring it down. I mean, I'm dealing, you know, with all sorts of infiltrator groups. And this isn't a game. I mean, you know, I'm in the Southern Poverty Law Center's top report as a terrorist leader. I mean, here it is right here. And they say, we are the new terrorist. We are the new big enemy. Show people a document cam shot of that where they draw me to look like a demon. This is the type of garbage. This is the type of garbage that we're dealing with. And so I'm just telling you, listen, this is not entertainment. This is not a game. And I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it on purpose. I don't want to be destroyed by the New World Order, but if that happens, it's in God's plan. If they kill me with a heart attack, if they kill me with drugs, I don't do illegal drugs, don't like them, by the way. If they set me up, whatever, it's all made up. Okay, I just want that on record. But it doesn't matter. What I've shown you and what we've covered here, that can defeat them. You know what to do, and they can't get us all. That's why it's so great to know there's Mike Adams and people like Matt Drudge. I'm talking about people that are actually actively hard-charging. There's people, you know, out there. I mean, who else can you really say, though, that's, I mean, really prominent and gets it? A lot of people will pop in my head after we go to break. But there's only a few dozen people that really get it and go all the way. You see other people just going a third of the way, and they know behind the scenes, but they're scared. And so they just play along. Well, we're going to lose everything if you people act like cowards.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides. pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, for about 45 minutes of the next hour, we're going to be joined by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. We're going to go to him in the next segment so that all the stations can hear what he has to say. Some stations don't carry this little 5-minute no man's land. I know XM has joined us on 166. Just recapping the Alice in Wonderland world we've entered. There's a lot of reasons I want to get the former head of policy at the Treasury on. I want to get his take on the Cypriot situation, the different ways they rob us here, where he sees the financial system. And then I want to get into the false reality, which is getting crazier, where they say there are no drones, but there are drones. There are no bullets, but there are bullets. There are no armored vehicles, but there are armored vehicles. And I see it backfiring on them. And is there any way out of this? I mean, is it a good thing Rand Paul filibustered to get answers? We're going to put an article out calling for Rand Paul to filibuster on the bullet subject. We've pushed. And now 14 members of Congress are demanding to know about the ammo purchases, and Big Sis has said no, so that's going to come to a head. I mean, look, if we just all start standing up together and getting past our fear, we have a future. I mean, if any common sense is left out there, groveling brings the wolves. I even read about a few times a year people get eaten by coyotes now inside major cities or on the edge of cities. Never used to happen. Because coyotes need to be scared of humans. Now, it's almost always a small woman. She gets scared. She runs. Women have been taught from movies to fall down. Because you always do that. When Jason's coming after you, you run and then you fall down. And then you beg. So that's what's been reported. People run, and then it's so much fun because they were taught. They fall down, and then the coyotes come and they just roll around while the coyotes eat them. I mean, if you went, the coyotes would run in fear. The only thing that will still eat you if you charge it is a grizzly bear or a polar bear. I mean, even elephants most of the time, unless they've got babies, will back off if you act like you're the king of the hill. Because they think you got an elephant gun. All they know is those things can knock me down. But I mean, people think if I roll over and just beg to be gang raped by government, that will protect me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go out in the middle of a field and play the sounds of dying rabbits, that's how you call in coyotes to kill them. We've done it when, they're eating sheep and stuff. The point is, I got family that farms and ranches. They didn't really have sheep, or neighbors did, so you go out on a coyote hunt with them, and you play audio tapes. I remember reel-to-reel when I was a kid, and they were out there playing them of the squealing, dying rabbits, and in come the coyotes, and you put spotlights on them and shoot them. But the point is that if you went out in the field and played those, and then when the coyotes came over, if you got on your back and went, no, please, they would bite your genitals off first, and then if you laid there, they would eat your guts out first while you're living. That's their favorite snack. Of course, if you just stood up, they'd run in fear. But you won't do that. You will lay down to the government and beg them to rip your guts out. You will hand them their children, figuratively, to rip their intestines out as a sacrament of weakness. And it is because of that sacrament of weakness that you will be destroyed. Excuse me. We're going to go to break and come back with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. But I'm sick of it. And I'm launching operations, as you've seen, and others are, on the bullet issue, and we are forcing them to cover it and lie about it and bleed out in front of us. Now, we're not fighting coyotes, folks. These people, if I can get other people to charge, we can beat them. If we don't, it's the Vichy French model. They've already bought off local towns, counties, cities, states. The Blitzkrieg wasn't really a Blitzkrieg. It was all a lie. 95% or more of the French military stood down because they'd been bought off, and then the traitor Vichy government, it's how Hitler, 2 days after it was over, it took like a week and a half, Dunkirk took a few more weeks down at the coast, went and turred Paris. How did he tur Paris? If Hitler conquered Texas and paraded through Austin, I'd be driving down there. But see, the police were saluting him and on the radio saying, do what he says, he's going to help us. That's never taught in the history books. It's in the back of the history books, but it's not in the pop culture history. It's not on History Channel. They don't want you to know that. That's the globalist plan, a soft takeover. Okay? The Lightning War was just the staged...
Devastating events like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, or the threat of martial law have highlighted the need for Americans to prepare for emergencies. As a result, millions are stockpiling food, gold, and weapons. But how will these items help if you or one of your loved ones becomes ill? Supernatural Silver is the ultimate tool to prepare you for a medical emergency. Supernatural Silver is a natural antibiotic that is uniquely effective against bacteria, viruses, molds, and fungus, and is remarkable for wound care. Taken internally or used topically, it can help keep you safe from deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver has over 500 different uses and a long-term shelf life, making it the #1 choice of preppers across the country. To find out how this amazing new technology can help you be prepared, go to supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code PREPARED for 20% off your entire order and like us on Facebook.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out SimpliSafe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes. So there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but SimpliSafe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimpliSafe.com.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, many financial publications have called him one of the top 10 economists living out there. Been the editor of the Wall Street Journal, the head of policy at the Department of the Treasury, the father of Reaganomics. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts joins us. Dr. PaulCraigRoberts.org or PaulCraigRoberts.org is his website. He's also a research fellow at the Cato Institute and the Hoover Institute. And I'm just going to stop there because his bio is too long. I wanted to get him on, obviously, about what's happening with the looting of the bank accounts, shock therapy, the insane wars, and a great article he wrote. He's a syndicated columnist dealing with it can happen here, and I would add it has happened here. And so he joins us to cover all of this information here today. Doc, good to have you on with us. Doc, What's happening? Yeah, we've lost his audio, of course. Dr. Roberts, what is happening? What is happening in the world economy right now?
Are we live, Alex?
Yes, sir. We're live.
Well, what's happening is that the handful of rich elites around the world are continuing to steal everything from everybody else. And the middle class in every country is disappearing, and the lower class is being pushed lower. And everyone pretends there's some kind of recovery and there's going to be a happy tomorrow and all that sort of thing.
Where do you expect this to go, what we see unfolding right now in Europe?
Well, I would imagine that the members of the parliament, or whatever it's called in Cyprus, will have all their arms twisted and will be told that very dire things will happen unless they give the okay to allowing certain percentage of private depositors' accounts to be seized and given to the banks. If they hold out against this, they will prove to be stronger than, for example, the United States Congress, when the Secretary of Treasury told them that they would be martial law if they didn't approve this. They'll turn out to be stronger than the Greek Parliament, which also accepted the dictates from the banks. And if they do refuse to go along with it, then it's a hopeful sign. It might strengthen resolve in other countries like Italy and Spain. Now, if it goes through, of course, it tells people that their private property in banks may not be safe in any other country that has similar problems, or bankers strong enough to claim their property. In the United States, of course, the Fed has an alternative measure. Instead of seizing people's bank accounts and giving them to Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and so on, it simply prints money and gives the money to the banks.
That's right.
But you see, the individual countries that make up the European Union, and of course Cyprus is part of that, they don't. Those countries do not have independent central banks that can print the money to give to the bankers. And the European Central Bank is prohibited by its charter from doing that, but nevertheless has done some of it, but is run up against opposition from Germany, which still remembers the Weimar Republic, the inflation, and is just sort of fundamentally opposed to printing money. And so the Germans have put some sort of restraint on how much money the ECB, the European Central Bank, can print.
Sure.
And therefore, there's not enough printed to satisfy the bankers, and so they're resorted to stealing.
Let me ask you this question. We always see Germany as a nation being blamed for this, when the way I look at the European Central Bank and the parties that are there, it is foreign mega banks, the big six, that are using it as a system to guarantee all their derivatives debts, while blaming the nation states and then blaming Germany as the group conquering the countries financially, when Germany's actually having to put the money up and the German people don't want to do it. Is Germany, to a great extent, being scapegoated in all this, and who are the real culprits?
Well, I think the real culprits, well, of course, what you say is correct. The authorities in the United States are concerned that the so-called guarantees issued by American banks against sovereign debt would be called if there were defaults. And so the United States, of course, is lined up with the European bailout scheme, which extracts the resources out of the populations. And so that's true. Now, I don't know that Germany is being blamed, and I wasn't blaming Germany. I was just saying that the Germans are as comfortable about printing money as a lot of other countries are, and we're putting some sort of brakes on it. Basically, what is going on, in my opinion, is that the European Union, the bureaucracy that comprises the EU, is using the crisis to subvert the independence of the individual sovereign states that make up the EU. So the real villain here is the EU bureaucracy in Brussels and the European Central Bank, which is in line with them, and they're making a power play to simply take over the budgets and the authoritative economic decisions of the individual countries.
Sure, it's a takeover. So what does this, as an economist, someone who's worked the highest levels of government, what does it signify, the aggressive standing, things going into high gear, the announcements that the NSA is spying on all of us, the announcements that domestic groups are the new terror threat, the 2 billion bullets, the starting fights with everybody, North Korea now threatening? I mean, I've studied history. You've studied history. You've got, you've taught it and taught trends at major think tanks. Where do you really think it's going? Or am I wrong in saying it seems we've sped up from maybe 80 miles an hour on the road to tyranny to 120?
I think it's speeding up. Clearly, governments are worried about the response of populations who are being enserfed and made to turn over their limited resources to rich bankers or to the elite. That, of course, is the second villain in the process. The point that's being established in this European crisis is that if banks or financial institutions make mistakes, then it's the responsibility of the citizens of the country to make those mistakes good for the banks.
Exactly.
So that the banks don't fail, and so the rich and the shareholders of the banks don't lose their wealth or money.
And back when you were on in 2008, the media had to admit we were backing them up, bailing them out. But since then, they've spun it where it's our fault. You know, the average American like myself paying over 60% taxes, that's not enough. I'm greedy, I'm bad, and we're in all this debt because, like the head of the IMF said, we're not working 6-7 days a week. I mean, this is wild.
It is. And so we have the two villains established, and we have also established the fact, I think, that the governments are concerned about the response of people. And in the United States, it looks like that they're acting far in advance of any signs among the population of any kind of resistance.
Sure.
So you're right. We now have no civil liberties. It's up to the president whether we have them or don't have them as individuals. Apparently, the Department of Homeland Security has shifted its attention away from so-called terrorism toward domestic extremists, which appears to be essentially those who disagree with the government. And we see the militarization of Homeland Security, of all the local and state police forces. We see constant invasions of privacy, all kinds of spying that's strictly against the Constitution, and it continues and it deepens. We also have these reports of the detainment centers or camps built around the country with congressional appropriations. So clearly they are acting to be in a position to control the population in the event that there's some sort of economic or social breakdown in the United States.
That's right. When we come back, I want to ask about ways to get out of this, ideas for the population to try to change the debate and point out what's happening. And I also want to talk about the Dallas head of the Fed and the Kansas City head of the Fed have both recently come out and said this is crony capitalism, this is going to destroy our future. So is that a positive sign to hear them, agreeing with you, Dr. Roberts? So we'll come back after the break and talk about that. I mean, I'm trying to find some silver linings here. But folks, denying this is what's gotten us into this trouble. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
Now there's an amazing new natural antibiotic every person must have. It's Cells Alive Silver Solution, and it destroys over 650 hard-to-kill viruses, fungus, bacteria, and much more. Cells Alive Silver Solution has no expiration date, is great for emergency kits and storage shelters, and comes in 8 or 16-ounce bottles. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. Hempusa.org, 100% chemical-free superfoods and unique health products.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it led back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
We travel so much, and having a fake TV, well, it gives added peace of mind.
Burglars look for houses that appear to be easy targets, but fake TV can fool even professional burglars into thinking someone is home watching television.
As a recent widow living alone, it gives me great peace of mind to set my fake TV near a window and know that passing motorists and pedestrians will think someone is home watching TV when I'm actually away from home.
Fake TV easily plugs into any outlet.
And they're so easy to use. You just plug them in and they're ready to go. Plus, they're so affordable that we have one upstairs and downstairs.
Fake TV is only $29.95 with free shipping. Order your fake TV by calling 877-532-5388 or go to faketv.com. That's 877-532-5388 or faketv.com. Fake TV, the burglar deterrent.
I'm gonna chase the sky.
Okay, Alex Jones here, back live. Dr. Roberts is with us till about 45 after today, and then I'll cover a lot of the big news that's unfolding on the economy and the entire police state. 14 members of Congress are now demanding Homeland Security answer their letters and questions about the 2 billion rounds of bullets, the armored vehicles, the domestic checkpoints. The TSA is now making people that are double amputees basically crawl across the floor and take their prosthetic legs off. I mean, it's just... But then Saudi Arabians are exempt from the searches. I mean, that's mainstream news. It's just all about we're the terrorist. As we predicted they would do, they fully are flipping it now. But here was the question I was asking before the break for Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who joins us. Feds Fisher, too big to fail banks are crony capitalists. That's Reuters. And he goes on there to break down the fact that they are practitioners of crony capitalism and they need to be broken up and that it's going to destroy our future if we don't stop them. But again, they hold us hostage and threaten to bring us into total collapse, as you pointed out, Dr. Roberts, if we don't give in to them. But then we give in and things only get worse. And then their exit strategy, I guess, is martial law authoritarianism. But I don't think they're going to get away with it. I think they're crazy. Dr. Roberts.
Well, Alex, I don't think we count. And it's very good that two members of the Federal Reserve have spoken out. But it was the deregulation that produced crony capitalism. It was the deregulation that allowed the banks to consolidate and purchase other banks and become too big to fail. And it's also the case that the Secretary of the Treasury, the financial regulatory agencies, and the Federal Reserve itself is run by former CEOs of these big banks or by their proteges. And so the banks have control of the economic policy, not us. And so they're clearly going to use that power in their benefit, not in our benefit. Now, one problem that the Federal Reserve faces in its policy of supporting the banks at all costs is that we now have three massive bubbles. We have a bond market bubble in which bond prices are so high that real interest rates are negative in a situation in which the Fed is printing more than $1 trillion new dollars every year, and the government is issuing more than $1 trillion in new debt every year. Well, that makes no sense to have negative interest rates on bonds when you have massive debt monetization. So the bond market bubble is probably the biggest bubble in history. We also have a stock market bubble. All of the money that the Federal Reserve is pumping into the banks is not going out in loans. It's going into speculation on stock market futures in various derivatives based on these futures, and that's bid up the stock market. It's not based on demand for products or retail sales. Retail sales have gone nowhere for years, not real retail sales. And so we have a huge stock market bubble that's based on Fed pouring liquidity into the banks and the banks using it to speculate in stocks.
So bottom line, the real economy is imploding and rotting away and being consolidated into the controlled economy that only a very few benefit from. And I guess maybe Fisher and others are now criticizing the system because they don't want to be blamed for it. I mean, is this out of fear that they realize?
Well, I think what it is that, well, it could just be they have some independence of mind and some integrity. On the other hand, the Fed now has a huge problem because the third bubble is the dollar itself.
Sure. So it's the stock market, the bonds, and the dollar.
So the Fed can support bond prices by buying bonds. It can support stock prices by having the banks buy stock futures. But if the dollar gets in trouble, it can't support the dollar except by raising interest rates, which would collapse the bond and stock market. So the problem for the Fed is it keeps monetizing huge sums of debt, creating dollars at a far faster rate. The supply of dollars is growing at a faster rate than the demand for dollars, and therefore the dollar exchange rate is unstable.
We got to go to break. I can tell you're getting to the key here. We're going to come back and get to that on the other side. Stay with us. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts is our guest. I'm Alex Jones.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
If you're listening, you know your basic freedoms are being threatened every day. If you're listening, you know the economy is not getting better. You know gas and food prices are skyrocketing. Now is the time to get prepared. For years, we've told you about our friends at eFoods Direct. They have the best tasting, long-term storable food on the planet. This food will taste just as great 25 years from now as it does tonight. A long-term food supply allows you to freeze the cost and the availability of the one thing you need most. Be prepared and get your supply from eFoods Direct. Right now is the best time to stock up and save hundreds of dollars with free shipping on all food supplies. Give yourself peace of mind and be prepared. Act now and call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Get free shipping on all orders for a limited time. Call 800-409-5633 or go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
Now that we have moved into the winter season, there is an increased need to support our immunity and health. At Silver Lungs, we are committed to meeting your needs by providing a full selection of silver-based products. Our most popular silver-based products are the 32-ounce Nano Silver Solutions, our 2-ounce Nano Silver Nasal Applicators, as well as our all-natural silver soaps. Just released is our 100% natural silver gel. Our new silver gel is not based on synthetic gelling agents, which quickly evaporate and leave the silver at the surface. But rather, we have formulated our silver gel using the natural skin-nourishing chemistry of aloe vera to quickly penetrate and nourish the skin, while delivering the silver more effectively. Visit www.silverlungs.com and click on our store page to find what silver-based products are best for you. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Dr. Paul Craig Roberts is one of the most successful economists in modern history. I mean, he's gotten a lot of his ideas implemented, caused some of the biggest booms and true expansion of the middle class that we've seen. In fact, the only expansion of real wealth that we've seen since the 60s. From my research, we've been going downhill since the 60s, except for a time during the 80s with Dr. Roberts' policies that have been misconstrued and demonized by the media. You cut taxes, more money comes in on average. The problem is they didn't then really cut budgets, though, because the bankers don't want you to get out of that. So we're going to break that down with him and have him recap and finish up the fact that there's no way out of this. We just don't know how it's going to implode or when it's going to implode, but the establishment is certainly getting ready for it. Briefly, remember, this broadcast is listener-supported. I try to sell and promote at InfoWarsStore.com. The very best products. I have a crew of right at 50 people pushing us up into Obamacare land. And we are just doing so much good work, as you know, all the incredible guests. So remember, when you buy at InfoWarsStore.com, you are shopping with the Patriots, shopping with the truth, shopping with getting the word out in the war for liberty. So it's like war bonds, whether it's anti-globalist, pro-Second Amendment T-shirts, or Infowars.com camo hats, or Pro Pure water filters with the Pro One systems discounted with the promo code WATER, the lowest price anywhere. We already had the lowest price. It's below the lowest price. I mean, it's way below with the 10% off promo code. I love their Traveler unit. That's my favorite for the price as well. Infowarsstore.com. And also be sure and click on all our sponsors at PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. And be sure and support our AM and FM affiliate sponsors. You know, support those local sponsors. Let them know why you're supporting them. Become a sponsor of your local business, even if it's small. That's how we're getting on more stations. Plus, the ratings bring them, but it's got to have sponsorship. Let XM know that you've got an XM subscription because I'm on XM 166. Tell them you want the Sunday show picked up. You need to take action. You've been demanding the Bullet story be covered. Now 14 Congress people are calling for an investigation. It'll be 30 next week. Watch. It'll be 30 next week. Maybe 30 tomorrow. Well, I guess next week will be Monday when they're back. I mean, I know how to beat these people. I've studied history, but you've got to take action. When you move, it's our only hope. And lastly, support alternative media like paulcraigroberts.org, where his amazing column, sometimes he writes every day, sometimes once a week. It's really invaluable insight from somebody that's been on the inside. And, of course, eFoods Direct is offering free shipping on all of their incredible high-quality storable foods. That's who I chose first. I bought a bunch of places, and they were the best for the price and the quality, so I've had them as a sponsor the last 6 years. eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. They've got a free meal plan, 6 free meals, and a meal planning DVD, CD, free. It's free when you give them a call, 800-409-5633. Take that first step. The security of having firearms and storable foods is a bare minimum. eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. Or link through on the banners at Infowars.com or 800-409-5633. And they only do this once a year. They always do it in March. I haven't been plugging it. Just so you know, they do it every March, free shipping, and they don't just raise prices and then give you free shipping. It's same prices, very low prices, then free shipping. On storable food, folks, that's a big part of the cost. They lose like half their profit doing that. That is an incredible deal, and it ends in just a few days, 800-409-5633. Okay, enough of me going back to Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. Recap the 3 bubbles and then where you see this leading, how long it'll be, how they can prop it up. Can they pull more rabbits out of their hats? Sure. Go ahead. Sure.
Okay, look, all of this is also available in my latest book, which became available in English this month as an ebook. You can get it from Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. In English, it's ebook only. Unless you read German or Chinese, there's no print version. The book explains exactly what the problem is, how we got into it, and why we're unlikely to get out of it. And it's easy to read, and it's empirical based. It's not opinion, it's fact. Now, to get back to...
And, of course, the title, sir, the title is The Failure of Laissez-Faire Capitalism.
That's right. It's the failure of laissez-faire capitalism and economic dissolution of the West. And it's well underway. I mean, the structure is already rotted out. The manufacturing capability of the United States is gone. It's moved offshore. And with it, as I also said would be the case, and as 20 professors at MIT validated recently, when you lose the ability to make things, you also lose the ability to invent things. So you lose the innovation when you lose manufacturing.
Now, let's stop right there and toot your horn. Not to toot your horn so people know that this isn't a joke what they're hearing. You have been beating the drum for more than a decade that deindustrialization, that it will never come back. Now China and others have it. And now MIT, basically the DARPA heads, that's the head of this whole military-industrial complex, finally are panicking, saying, we've chopped our legs off. I mean, this is insanity, and they're now absolutely concurring with you.
That's right. And also 2 years ago, the Nobel Prize winner in economics, Michael Spence, he also concurred with me that the United States economy is no longer capable of producing jobs that produce export products, either goods or services, that we are now locked into low-pay domestic service jobs. And so I've had this sort of vindication from very high-ranked, independent economists that I don't know or have any association with. Now, to get back to your question that we were discussing before the break, there are three bubbles. I explained the bond and stock bubble. The dollar bubble is what is likely to undo the whole enterprise. What has saved the Fed so far is the fact that the Europeans are in crisis, largely one we made for them, and that keeps the euro in trouble. So as long as there's no real alternative to the dollar, except for gold and silver, which the Fed caps the price by selling naked shorts in the paper market to stop the rise in price from the demand for the physical metal. So once the dollar goes, and I don't know how quick or how slow it will be, but it will go. We already know that the BRICS, large countries in Asia and South America, and including Russia and China, India, South Africa, Brazil, they are making agreements to no longer use the dollar to settle their international trade accounts. This reduces the demand for dollar in the international markets. The Japanese and Chinese seem to be coming to the same agreement so that they will deal with their trade in their own currencies.
And that's called the move to the exits.
What it means is the demand for the dollar drops while the supply is pouring out. And so it's very hard for the price to stay where it is. And when the price of the dollar goes down, given that we are an import-dependent country, importing all kinds of things that we're dependent on, prices will go up. And yet real incomes are not going up. So when the prices go up, everyone's real income goes down, consumer demand falls further, the economy sinks deeper, the deficits get bigger. So it's a perfect storm for which there are no solutions.
So that's beyond stagflation, isn't it?
Oh, much beyond. It's what the likelihood is an inflationary depression.
Which is the ultimate nightmare.
The ultimate nightmare for which there are no policy solutions.
And, of course, wasn't it believed until the 70s that even stagflation was artificial and couldn't be done? But now, in the Alice in Wonderland, isn't a hyperinflationary depression? Has that ever even happened before?
I don't think so. Because you've never had this combination of events to produce it. Most depressions resulted from a collapse of the money supply or a collapse of the exchange rate of a currency. But you've never had a situation where you have no basis for employment, but you've laid the basis for an explosion of prices by creating your currency at high rates while the demand for it is falling.
Wow, and then you've got like three different populations. That's oversimplifying, but you've got a very hardworking lower middle class and upper middle class who will work 3-4 jobs to have a high standard. You've kind of got a dilettante government and bureaucrat and pension fund, which people earned in many cases, but also these trust fund kids. And it's very popular to be mindless and be into being ignorant and to lay around all day. And then you've got the militarized groups out there. I mean, that just sounds like a nightmare to be in the middle of a population like that. What do you expect to happen when this thing starts imploding?
Well, I expect that what will happen when they can no longer print money to cover the deficit is they'll go after the remaining pensions.
That's it, yeah.
The same way that the banks go after the deposits in Cyprus, here the government will say, well, look, your pensions have been tax-free, accumulating tax-free, and so we are now going to make up for that and take our tax share of your pensions. So they will simply seize pensions. And again, it'll be a short-term measure. It'll only work once. When they use the pension to finance the deficit, what do they do the next year? They're going to run out of things to steal. And once that happens, there's no way they can stave off the crisis. So they don't want to talk about this, and they don't like people who do talk about it because they're trying to keep it under control as long as they can.
Would you call what's coming hyper-stagflation? What would the name be for it?
I think I would call it an inflationary depression.
So an inflationary depression.
I think that's what I would call it, yes. Now, people think that that's a contradiction in terms, that you can't have both, but you can. And particularly with these types of conditions that have been put in place, which are unique. So, you know, it doesn't do any good. We've known now for 5 or 6 years, it doesn't do any good to run big deficits and print a lot of money when all the jobs are moved offshore. So the spending doesn't call people back to work when there's no place for them to work.
All right, well, let me ask you this question. Let's say we've gone out to see a Shakespearean play. There's 1,000 people in the theater. That 1,000 people represents people holding dollars worldwide, governments, institutions, you name it. How many people have gotten up and already left? Because, you know, people get up, a few leave, then all of a sudden more leave, and then suddenly, you know, right before the end, half the people leave. And once half leave, you know, the bottom falls out and degenerates very quickly. What point have we gotten to right now with people leaving the theater? Because they are starting to leave the theater.
Well, they've been leaving for 10 years. If you look at the sharp upturn in the price of gold and silver during the Bush years and the first year or two of Obama, before the Fed capped it by selling naked shorts, you can see the sharp rise up. So people are leaving. And the Fed is trying to break that up by capping the price by selling these naked shorts. I mean, who ever heard of shorting a bull market? No one shorts stock market when it's in a bull phase. No, you ride the market up. But they've been shorting a rising gold market. And so it's clearly a control mechanism.
Well, it's just, you said over and over again, they are colluding in Europe and the United States and Asia, I mean, obviously, on the
I don't think
interest rates.
Sure. I don't think the Asians are colluding at all. They're sitting there watching.
Well, I mean, at least in the past, but I mean,
they're watching these fools get rid of themselves.
Sure, exactly. I mean, when I say Asia, I mean Japan. My point is, what does LIBOR illustrate for us?
It's just another fixation of interest rates. It was a minor one compared to the Fed. The Fed is the major fixer of interest rates. And what the banks were doing was just aiding the Fed. And that's why the Fed didn't do anything about it. They knew about it. It wasn't anything they didn't know about.
Doc, let's shift gears. What do you make of our government putting al-Qaeda, real al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria, incredible mass murder, incredible war crimes, while separately saying now we've got to attack Syria because al-Qaeda's there? I mean, that is just a new level of Orwellianville. Where do you see that going? I mean, how do they get away with that?
I think this is the Israel lobby forcing the senators like McCain and Levin to push Israel's agenda on to Obama. I think that's what it is. Clearly, if the Assad government loses in Syria, it will be taken over by extremists because the people who are fighting are the Islamicists. They're the ones who are opposed to the secular Assad government.
They actually wear al-Qaeda uniforms.
That's right. And so what we would be doing is simply putting al-Qaeda in charge. Now, this suits Israel because it breaks up the country. It'll leave the country in a constant state of civil war, just like Libya is, just like Iraq is. So when a country is at odds with itself,
sure,
it can't present any sort of outward response to Israel. It's to overcome by its internal dispute.
Sure. I think we get the balkanization, and I totally agree with you. My point is, how are they saying they've got to stick their hands down my wife's pants in front of me at the airport because bin Laden's in there while they run al-Qaeda publicly and gave them 10,000 heat-seeking missiles? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, what about just the fact that we're running al-Qaeda publicly and it's not even an issue?
wars are profitable for the military security complex, and they're profitable for domestic power. Remember, Solzhenitsyn said years and years ago that the main purpose of war is to create a domestic police state.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right about that. The late Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I got to tell you, the book, I haven't read it yet. I've read your other books, and they're all excellent. And there's a real libertarian system, but this isn't. Because a real libertarian system, they wouldn't be too big to fail. They would have been wiped out early on. So it's the laissez-faire with the public backing up of their losses. I mean, I agree it's laissez-faire, but
Alex, it was the laissez-faire, the deregulation, that produced the crony capitalism. When you remove a market from social control, you let the private greed and private power run wild, and the result is they monopolize things, they concentrate things, and then they are too powerful for the politicians to sit on, and they control the politicians. And as we've already said today,
all right,
who's running the Treasury? Who's running the financial regulatory agencies?
Sure, no, you're right. You're right. But let's go to the end of the hour then. Let's go to the end of the hour. I've got to go to break. 6-minute segment. Let's debate that. Not really debate it. I understand what you're saying, but my point is, if they weren't too big to fail, I agree. You can't deregulate and then back it up with government. So my point is that's the perfect storm. It's the unnatural thing, just like a inflationary depression. So explain it to me, because I know you know more about it than I do, and I concur to your and I defer to your wisdom. But I mean, my whole point is I am a libertarian. I like it in most areas, and I understand why there was Glass-Steagall. I agree with it. My point is that I don't think this is pure libertarianism, laissez-faire. But explain it to me when we get back.
If you're listening, you know your basic freedoms are being threatened every day. If you're listening, you know the economy is not getting better. You know gas and food prices are skyrocketing. Now is the time to get prepared. For years, we've told you about our friends at eFoods Direct. They have the best tasting, long-term storable food on the planet. This food will taste just as great 25 years from now as it does tonight. A long-term food supply allows you to freeze the cost and the availability of the one thing you need most. Be prepared and get your supply from eFoods Direct. Right now is the best time to stock up and save hundreds of dollars with free shipping on all food supplies. Give yourself peace of mind and be prepared. Act now and call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Get free shipping on all orders for a limited time. Call 800-409-5633 or go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. Do you know the #1 most valuable item in a crisis? Some people think the answer is gold. Others think it's a gun. But the correct answer will shock you. I just created a free video at crisis123.com that reveals a surprising item that is more valuable than gold in a crisis. 97% of Americans don't have this one critical item. In fact, they haven't even given it a thought. And the sad truth is that you may not survive without it when a real crisis hits and a starving mob is right outside your door. What I have to tell you could literally make the difference between life and death for you and your family. Watch my video at crisis123.com to discover the #1 most valuable item in a crisis. You'll be shocked. See the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go watch my video now at crisis123.com before they force me to shut it down. Again, that's crisis123.com.
Devastating events like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, or the threat of martial law have highlighted the need for Americans to prepare for emergencies. As a result, millions are stockpiling food, gold, and weapons. But how will these items help if you or one of your loved ones becomes ill? Supernatural Silver is the ultimate tool to prepare you for a medical emergency. Supernatural Silver is a natural antibiotic that is uniquely effective against bacteria, viruses, molds, and fungus, and is remarkable for wound care. Taken internally or used topically, it can help keep you safe from deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver has over 500 different uses and a long-term shelf life, making it the #1 choice of preppers across the country. To find out how this amazing new technology can help you be prepared, go to supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code PREPARED for 20% off your entire order, and like us on Facebook.
You know, I get that after the Depression, they put in rules so that banks couldn't just buy into every level of society and consolidate and create huge monopolies, because monopolies, we learned, and the robber barons were not a good idea, and that they could have brokerage banks, you know, own regular banks and then steal people's savings. I mean, they knew you need to build bulkheads in a ship so if one floods, the others don't flood. And I see this, and Dr. Roberts and I have debated this, but I've seen them brag, whether it's delusional or not, at Davos and Bilderberg, that, oh, we're taking over. The world collapse will bring us to power. Then we'll come out with an SDR or something above it. So I see this as orchestrated. At least they brag it's orchestrated. Maybe they're not really in control. Because one thing I've learned studying history, Hitler thought he was in control going into Russia. So did Napoleon. These guys get delusional. So I don't think they're infallible. I know they're men like us. They're women like us. But Dr. Roberts, you've got the floor for the last 5 minutes. Explain to me how this is, I mean, I haven't read the new book yet, how this is all the fault of laissez-faire, because how is it laissez-faire if government is backing it up and backstopping it? Go ahead.
Well, there's no difference between the government and the private interest. Look, what libertarians think that we have all this regulation by the government, and that the whole reason we had a financial crisis is because we got too much regulation. But of course, this is nonsense. What the last 25 years have been, not just the United States, but beginning with Thatcher in England, in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, in France. I mean, I helped the French government privatize the economy. We've had massive privatizations and massive deregulation, particular deregulation in the...
You need to go over there and check that answering machine?
I should have shut the door. People are very invasive.
I know how it is. Believe me, I've been doing radio interviews and my kids run in.
So this deregulation is really everywhere, but it's massive in terms of the financial system. It's not just that they deregulated or repealed Glass-Steagall. They removed all of the restraints on speculation.
Am I wrong in saying that you were more laissez-faire 25, 30 years ago? Have your views changed?
Well, I get, it's just like John Maynard Keynes says, when you learn the facts, what do? You adjust your views. So
are you saying Reaganomics?
Just a minute, Alex, this has nothing to do with ideology. It has to do with facts.
Sure.
Okay. And the facts are we had a highly regulated financial system. We had no problems. We completely deregulated, and we're in massive collapse, for which there's no solution, and which is threatening the entire Western world. This is all due to deregulation. And so what is laissez-faire? It is the absence of regulation. And so what we have learned is that the absence of regulation does not produce libertarian nirvana. It produces social instability, social insecurity. And that is why throughout history, almost every market is regulated. There are very few cases, and they are short term, of deregulated markets because they are unlivable. They always produce crisis. And that's why the regulation comes in. It doesn't come in because the government's trying to take away power. It's because people are trying to have some kind of economic stability and economic security.
Sure, but what about...
They've got none.
Sure. No, I mean, I understand that. My issue is it's government that allowed them to grow this big to begin with. I understand it's the laissez-faire that caused it, but then the backing it up allows them to enslave us.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Devastating events like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, or the threat of martial law have highlighted the need for Americans to prepare for emergencies. As a result, millions are stockpiling food, gold, and weapons. But how will these items help if you or one of your loved ones becomes ill? Supernatural Silver is the ultimate tool to prepare you for a medical emergency. Supernatural Silver is a natural antibiotic that is uniquely effective against bacteria, viruses, molds, and fungus, and is remarkable for wound care. Taken internally or used topically, it can help keep you safe from deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver has over 500 different uses and a long-term shelf life, making it the #1 choice of preppers across the country. To find out how this amazing new technology can help you be prepared, go to supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code PREPARED for 20% off your entire order, and like us on Facebook.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
You know, we get Ron Paul on about once a month, and I really respect him. But I'm going to bring this up to him because he's laissez-faire, and he's going to say, but Alex, we backed up too big to fail. The regulators were controlled by the bankers, and they actually wouldn't let other competition come in. It wasn't real true deregulation. So, Dr. Roberts, I agree that the idea of laissez-faire capitalism pushed by Greenspan and everybody, we were just talking during the break, has led to a lot of this. But all I'm saying is now they'll take over with no regulation, then put regulation on everybody else selectively once they've already sewed up the game. I mean, answer my question on that if you can. I mean, I know you can, but give me your brief take on my question. How is it laissez-faire if government's backing it up?
Laissez-faire is what produced it. I'm talking about the failure of the system. It's now failed.
Yes, I get that.
Okay, because remember, it was Greenspan and Rubin and Arthur Levitt, the head of the SEC, and Larry Summers, who went to Congress and prevented Brooksley Born from doing her job and regulating the derivatives. Remember that?
Yes.
She said, if we don't regulate these derivatives, we're going to have a crisis. And they all went down there and said, don't let this crazy woman regulate derivatives. She'll produce a crisis. Markets are self-regulating.
I remember.
We don't need to regulate. This was an ideology. The ideology came out of the success of Reagan and the failure of the Soviet Union. And so everybody said, oh, well, it was Reagan. He was for free markets. The Soviets were for planning and regulation, and they failed, and we won. So let's don't have any regulation.
That's right. You're kind of their guru, aren't you?
Just don't have any. And so they got rid of it progressively. And the result was the monopoly concentration, the banks too big to fail, the takeover. That is always the result of the deregulation. You understand, it's a process.
No, I got it. And we're in the middle of it. It's a fact. And now ideology is just window dressing. In the 2 minutes we've got left, if you were king using the Constitution, what would you do now to try to reverse this? Or is it too late?
I think it's too late. You know, it's too late. It's going to hit the fan. I just don't know when. I can't predict the timing. We've got 3 massive bubbles. There's no way out. They're going to pop. They have to pop.
And of course, one will pop the others. So we'll have triple bubble implosion.
If the dollar goes, all of them will pop. And it'll be the biggest financial wipeout in world history. And we won't be able to recover. The Chinese are not going to say, oh, here, let us rebuild your economy and give you everything back.
They're in trouble too as well. I mean, they're barely. They're growing faster, but they got their own problems.
Well, they have some problems, but they don't have ours. They're not monetizing $1 trillion of debt every year. They're not printing money faster than
sure. They're not going to be able, is what I'm saying, to help us.
Why would they help us?
Exactly, but even if they wanted to,
we're trying to surround them with military bases. We're going to cut the social welfare net because we don't have any money, but we've got plenty of money to attack Syria.
Oh, yeah. And therein is their answers. The bankers are going to start World War III.
The neocons, the Israel lobby, the bankers, the military security complex, they're going to start World War III. But they won't be able to fight it very long because it'll go nuclear. And you can't fight nuclear wars very long. And if it doesn't go nuclear, we'll go broke and not be able to fight.
Wow. And you were there in the negotiation with the Soviets, everything. I mean, I cannot say how much you know, sir, and how much we appreciate you with us. And to hear you saying that when all my other experts are saying the same thing, I'm pretty smart. I see the same thing. I see government digging in like it's the end of the world. This doesn't look too good.
They're preparing to control us, but our response to all of the crises and mistakes that they're making. And so they obviously don't intend to correct them, or they wouldn't be putting in all these...
No, they don't. Get the book at Amazon. Get the book at Amazon. Doctor, thank you so much for the hour.
Okay, you're welcome.
Wow, heavy show.
If you're listening, you know your basic freedoms are being threatened every day. If you're listening, you know the economy is not getting better. You know gas and food prices are skyrocketing. Now is the time to get prepared. For years, we've told you about our friends at eFoods Direct. They have the best tasting, long-term storable food on the planet. This food will taste just as great 25 years from now as it does tonight. A long-term food supply allows you to freeze the cost and the availability of the one thing you need most. Be prepared and get your supply from eFoods Direct. Right now is the best time to stock up and save hundreds of dollars with free shipping on all food supplies. Give yourself peace of mind and be prepared. Act now and call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Get free shipping on all orders for a limited time. Call 800-409-5633 or go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out SimpliSafe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but SimpliSafe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimpliSafe.com.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Well, I told you 2 weeks ago, and I told you again last week, over and over again. In fact, I'm going to try to have the crew find it and play it on the nightly news tonight. Not to say, oh, look, I'm smart. I'm showing you the power you have. That we got to work towards the future together. We've got to work for some type of civilization that isn't run by total criminals. And you've got to do that by fighting the criminals. You've got to do that by saying, and getting past the fear, past the intimidation. You're going to find 9 times out of 10, they're scared to death of you. But you know, I came on air and I said, if we keep pushing this bullet story and the armored vehicle story that they've denied, it's going to blow up in their face and be a congressional investigation, which will be a debate about why are there FEMA camps, which are on record. Doesn't matter if Glenn Beck tells you they don't exist. I'm not attacking Glenn Beck. Okay, he needs to, in fact, I would endorse Glenn Beck if he came out and covered the Model States Health Emergency Powers Act. if he covered the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, if he covered the National Emergency Centers Establishment Act, if he covered the new Army manuals for FEMA camps, the FEMA for re-education camps. It says that. How to process your Social Security numbers, how to lock down the cities, how to take our guns. FEMA has just posted that they're drilling for martial law in America. And I'm so conditioned, knowing this is already true, that I haven't even mentioned that today. Melissa Melton goes, is this important? I think this is important yesterday. FEMA's just put out this new manual on their site. It shows photos and videos of them training local police for civil unrest and collapse. And I said, oh, yes, you're right. It's important. That article's up on Infowars.com. FEMA federalizing police for domestic war. In fact, that should be red-linked. Okay, that should be red-linked. 15 members of Congress demand investigation of Obama's ammo hoard. That should be, it's now 15. He had just updated it. That should be red-linked. Gun owners sue New York government to restore Second Amendment. Government cover-up of ammo buy implodes. That should be red-linked. The only red-linked stuff really important, but today, the whole front page should just go red. I mean, you know, that's what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. And see, if you won't recognize bad stuff, it'll get worse. People think, oh, if I just don't recognize it, if I just think it's okay, if I just lie to myself, if I just, you know, whitewash everything, it's going to go away. No, no, no. I'll go back to my coyote analogy. I remember being 5, 6, 7 years old. We did it quite a few times because I'd beg to go hunting. It'd be, you know, out of season where you couldn't shoot deer. But I'd say, okay, well, coyotes have been eating the neighbor's sheep. You know, we can take you out there. And you sit there with varmint tapes playing and the sound of dying rabbits. And then coyotes come out of the woods, you hit them with spotlights and shoot them. But you read about people now, this didn't used to happen. Anybody can type it in, woman eaten by coyotes. And it'll be like at the edge of a city park. And the women are preconditioned to run and then fall down because they saw it on all the TV shows. I mean, people have never run a few feet and fallen down and gone, no, please. You know, you're taught how to act like a rabbit. Humans don't act like that. A possum will viciously attack a coyote. A raccoon will. Humans will. A little monkey. If you got a monkey from South America and put it in a room, you know, with pit bulls, it would jump on top of them and try to bite their eyes out. You know, but we, the super killer machine that fought the cave bears, the saber-toothed tigers, you know, I mean, humans with their bare hands, taking what they wanted, killing giant, you know, prehistoric rhinos, running elephants off cliffs. I mean, we are now sitting there. Now women never acted like this. Women used to be true feminists. Women were tougher than nails. Now women fall down. It's like they taught women if they saw something scary to faint in Victorian England as a mind control. Just all the mind control. And so we've all been taught when we see tyranny to go, or deny it. Hey, that ain't going to get you out of this. In every case now, in Canada and the U.S., it's happening every few months now. You'll read about it. It's always the same story. The woman on her lunch break went to the local park to have a sandwich and make some phone calls. 2 coyotes came out. She cowered crying, calling 911, and the coyotes, by the time they got there, had chewed her throat out. And I'm here saying, don't call 911. You see coyotes coming out of the edge of the woods, get up and go, wow. And they're going to see that predator look, that you're just looking at them, and you're not scared, they're going to run. But see, what you've decided to do is the virtue. You think, roll over and cry. No, help me. Like in all the movies, the guy comes in with a knife, and the man or the woman goes, no, don't kill me. Oh, God, please. And like, somebody comes in with a knife, I'm going to say, blah, and just literally go, I mean, but see, that's because I'm a maniac, ladies and gentlemen. That's because I'm a maniac, No, I'm not. I'm red-blooded. I'm red-blooded. I'm ready to light a bunch of torches up and go running through the woods, running after mastodons to run them off a cliff and eat them. So I like big piles of red meat. And that's why I'm free. Light the fires of liberty. We're coming to the castle. I mean, they have taken your humanity. I mean, these people fall down in front of coyotes and are eaten. Coyotes have never eaten people. Not in recorded history with the Native Americans or the settlers, coyotes didn't eat people. Only wolves would go after humans. That'd be a human alone if the wolves were starving. In deep winter, if wolves are starving, they will try to eat a man. They know we're tough. They got to be starving to try to go after a man, starving to death. Now, everywhere you go, I see signs up on the greenbelt. Where's my dog? Where's my cat? And I'm like, I saw some coyote crap down the thing. It was a dog bones. So it ate your dog. Of course, I won't tell them that. You walk the hike and bike trail, and you can see the coyote crap of people's cats and dogs. I can see cat bones, partially digested cat skulls, everything. And these people have signs up all over going, where's my doggy? Where's my kitten? It's not on the news. They're eating everybody's dogs and cats. I had coyotes coming out by my house trying to eat my French bulldogs. I just went out there one night with a double-aught shotgun, baby, left some meat out there, and they're dead. Tough little buggers. I found someone. One time I shot a coyote in the head. A large goblet. I mean, almost a handful. Probably half its brain was blown out on the ground. Shot it in the head with a .243. Came up to the deer camp over by the trash, and there was a rifle. I just got it. 50 yards. Boom. In the head. Still ran off hundreds of yards. Couldn't find it. But anyways, folks, you're a predator. Start acting like one. Stop acting like a jellyfish domesticated idiot. Because the government is the wolves and the coyotes. And, man, you're rolled over on your back begging, playing a varmint tape. That's what they're called, varmint tapes. You're playing varmint tapes. By the way, the coyotes don't come anywhere around my house anymore. They don't come anywhere around it. In fact, they don't even come on the neighbor's property because I can see them out there with night vision. They won't get anywhere around my house. And until I finally said, all right, I'll just hunt them. I'm not into shooting stuff, just to shoot them. So I sat up and killed them. And the issue is that they don't come anywhere. I don't even hear them yelling anymore at night, except every once in a while about a mile away on a nearby ranch. They don't come around my house anymore because I shot one. I know I got one and shot at the others as they ran off. And again, stumbling around at night, you use a shotgun with double-aught buck. The point is that this is what's got to be done. Politically, you've got to get up on your hind legs. People say, what's that mean? Well, a bear gets up on its hind legs when it's really going to go crazy. You got to get up on your hind legs and go, hey, I don't know what the outcome of this is. You want to fight? You got one. I'm going to discredit you. I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to call you terrorist because you are. I'm going to go wild. I'm going to call my Congress people. I'm going to go to when they have meet and greets and grab them by the hand and tell them we know what's going on. We're not going to put up with it. You need to call Dianne Feinstein, tell that witch we know what she's doing. You see Michael Moore in public, you tell him quit using murdered kids. We know. You talk about you want to see Harry Reid's grandkids dead. That would help. Look, bud, why don't you come a little bit further and tell us what you really know? Look, I know who you are. I see you, you big fat predator. And you don't scare me one bit. What scares me is rolling over to you. So I'm going to tell you politically, you got to start shooting back. Like in the info war, not physically. There's all this talk about how I'll do this physically and you'll do that physically. Hey, come on. Save it, ladies and gentlemen. You don't talk about stuff like that, even if you're intending it. You need to use your mouth. The pen is mightier than the sword, and the mouth is the pen today. Use it, ladies and gentlemen, or lose it. Get aggressive now. Get aggressive now. Get aggressive now. Get aggressive now. They were telling us and selectively not telling others. And then the police, when we challenged them, started writing everyone tickets for being out there handing out literature in downtown Austin on street corners, saying, you've got to get a permit from us to do that. Bull, your thing's unconstitutional. Had to call there. You're like, well, what's that big fight? That's just, folks, if you can't hand stuff out in America, move to North Korea. And it's the same deal. If I would have groveled, they were trying to run the street team we hired off, and then they sent thugs when the cops wouldn't do it anymore. If we would have groveled, there would be no free speech left in Austin. Next, they'd say, okay, give me money, like Mexican cops do. Here, let me have some money now. You see, rolling over. What do sheep get eaten by? Wolves. What do wolves do to men? They run. Sheep get eaten by wolves. Let's say it. Sheep get eaten by wolves. Sheep get eaten by wolves. So that's the old analogy of the sheepdog. You're like, well, I'm not a sheep, but I'm not a wolf. I'm a sheepdog. Fine. You want to be a sheepdog, folks? We're not trying to be sheepdogs because we're trying to be heroes. We're overrun by wolves right now, ladies and gentlemen, and we're in a lot of trouble. And I see effeminate, it's not even fair to men. I see estrogen-programmed men. It's not even fair to women to call them effeminate. I see estrogen-programmed, on record, men everywhere who see their weakness as a totem and as a trophy and as a signet of royalty, like royalty wears big, chains of office around their necks. They own their weakness and their pathetic jellyfish worship. They wear it as if it is a cloak of infallibility. It is a cloak of shame. And that shows style. They can make something stylish, and people will bring their children for human sacrifice and beg their children be chopped up in every culture if it's stylish. Chinese emperors had their wives' feet bound. They wouldn't even feed themselves. They were total slaves because they were so elitist. They were basket cases that couldn't even wipe their own butts. Same thing with the British royalty. That's style. Oh, you're so stylish, you don't feed yourself. Oh, you're so stylish, you're a jellyfish. The sitcom says the guy gets the girl if he's a jellyfish, but the guys wonder why they're not getting the girl, so they act more jellyfish-like. You've been programmed.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out SimpliSafe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimpliSafe.com. SimpliSafe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but SimpliSafe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimpliSafe.com.
Do you suffer from low-functioning adrenal or thyroid gland? Did you know that mercury from your dental fillings comes off your teeth both as a vapor and as metal particles into your body? Wherever mercury deposits in your body, it stops cells from functioning normally. Animal studies show that mercury causes kidney function to drop by 60%. Mercury deposited into your adrenals or thyroid will cause a corresponding drop in function. The number one method by which your body detoxifies itself of mercury is glutathione. The number one superfood that helps turn on all 75 trillion cells of your body to produce glutathione is non-denatured whey protein from grass-fed cows. After investigating most high-end whey proteins on the market, only one is the most non-denatured, the most active, the most complete, and in our opinion, the most powerful in what nature originally put into the fresh raw whey. It is One World Whey. Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years, hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw of free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
be victorious. Gotta love it. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. Look at the stories up at Infowars.com right now. Nanny Bloomberg, drone panopticon inevitable. And, they've already got total surveillance, all your cell phones, everything you're doing. And he says that's great. And he's going to tell you what to eat and what to drink. And he says, I need all that data. He's been bragging lately. He needs all the spy data to tell you how to live your life because he knows best. He actually says that. Yeah. You know best, don't you, Bloomberg, about 9/11, I bet. I bet you care about everybody a lot. You're a real nice man. I'm glad you're there. Like, I'll just stop blocking my doors at night knowing you're there. I know you really want to take care of me and my family. You wolf. Look at this. I see you. You know that, don't you? You do. You don't like it. U.S. plan calls for more scanning of private web traffic email. It's not spying. It's scanning. That's in NBC. Oh, I thought it was a conspiracy theory they're spying on us. There's more illegal spying. And more running al-Qaeda, and more bullet purchases that don't exist. But here's some of the other ones. Rand Paul to filibuster over big cis arms buildup. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He filibustered over drones. Hey, how about the whole enchilada they won't give members of the Senate and the House who want to know about the 2 billion rounds of ammo and who want to know about all the armored vehicles? Hey, Rand, my friend, I ought to try to give him a call. Rand, do the filibuster. I mean, I know you don't do it all the time. You'll get ignored, but so what? I mean, just start doing it all the time because you won't be ignored. Let's have your weekly filibuster. Okay, I remember they said they wouldn't let him see the drone info, and they wouldn't let him see all that until he went into the filibuster, and then they gave him the info, and they gave him their answer about killing U.S. citizens, and then said, well, no, we're not going to, but we do have the power to, but yeah, we are going to, but we didn't say we would. We don't want NDAA, but we wrote it, but then we said we wouldn't sign it, but we did sign it. Lawyer stuff. Oh, no, that's not in there unless you look at the subsection, but it's not a big deal. We're not going to use it, but we are if we want to. You know how it is. I mean, subsection doesn't apply in some states. So that's what's going on there with all this fine print. When you're listening to a radio ad, and it's like, drop by and get our cars at 0% interest and absolutely no credit needed. It's an incredible deal. We have everything you need right now on the lot. An incredible selection of over 500 new and used vehicles, and it's absolutely no credit score needed. Credit score. I mean, that's what's going on here. Only for customers. So. It's time to drag all this out in the open. They've been denying all this because they're scared of it. If America gets its instinct going and goes, ooh, the government's been taken over and is arming against you, they're not going to be able to detonate an atomic weapon in Chicago. I just keep saying Chicago. Like I said, they'll blow up the World Trade Center and blame it on bin Laden. 2 months before it happened, I even named the targets. Dallas, Chicago, Cleveland, Denver, places like that. Larry Silverstein, owns the one of the biggest buildings down there, bought it. Was the Sears Tower, it's something else. He's a nice man. He really cares about you. Anyways, getting back to what I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, now they've had nuclear contaminants checking the subways, bombs in Chicago, nukes. North Korea working with right-wingers. Oh, that's the new movie coming out, North Korea working with right-wingers. At least that was in one of the early scripts. They're keeping it is that out yet, that Olympus falling or whatever it is? The point is the narrative in the official West Point documents now, and you see it in the Army War College, is the Tea Party is going to link up with al-Qaeda. Oh, that's going to happen. I mean, the most Islamophobic group on the planet. You show them an image of bin Laden, they're ready to throw their children in incinerators if the government says it'll keep them safe. I mean, just their whole religion is hating Muslims. And now they're going to work with al-Qaeda, and they've got all these TV shows like Founding Fathers where the patriot leader in the town who sounds like a great guy is really Taliban. When the government is the Taliban and al-Qaeda and publicly created them and runs them, but then those of us exposing it, we're secretly them. You can buy that? Police, do you really believe veterans are going to bomb every U.S. police station with IEDs? They've said veterans will attack. They tell police, you will be attacked for 5 years. You will be attacked by veterans and gun owners. And the police are listening. Pardon me? Came out today. All right, thank you. I'm in total rant mode, ladies and gentlemen. I'm crazed, and I guess I shouldn't be. I should be calm about all this. I should love all this. I should think all of this is great. Rand Paul to filibuster over Big Sis arms buildup. Big Sis continues to stonewall lawmakers on ammo buys. Rand, take the ball. Hut, get it.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
If you want an American company with American products made by Americans, here is the Cal Ben Soap Company. Alex and his staff have used these pure soap products for years. These all-natural soaps are made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils that are earth-friendly and safe. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog. Buy the 1 to 2 month sample package and enjoy soaps that are twice as good as what you're using now. Or save big with a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. This is an amazing deal. You can save thousands of dollars and you will love the way real soap makes you feel. See them on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091 for a free catalog.
A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
Devastating events like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, or the threat of martial law have highlighted the need for Americans to prepare for emergencies. As a result, millions are stockpiling food, gold, and weapons. But how will these items help if you or one of your loved ones becomes ill? Supernatural Silver is the ultimate tool to prepare you for a medical emergency. Supernatural Silver is a natural antibiotic that is uniquely effective against bacteria, viruses, molds, and fungus, and is remarkable for wound care. Taken internally or used topically, it can help keep you safe from deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver has over 500 different uses and a long-term shelf life, making it the #1 choice of preppers across the country. To find out how this amazing new technology can help you be prepared, go to supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code PREPARED for 20% off your entire order, and like us on Facebook.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation, it's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are here live. We've had Larry Elder scheduled. We're trying to connect with him on Skype. We'll see if that happens. Very interesting individual, of course, radio host there in Los Angeles, and his views on Obama and where all this is going. But I'll tell you this, the power structure is pulling out all the stops now to just confuse reality. And our answer is to get real, to get serious, and go all the way. And by going all the way, we've gotten in this position because the establishment says be mealy-mouthed, don't be aggressive, compromise, that's how you're successful. And during the sellout of America, some people could be successful for a time doing that. But now we're getting down to the end game, folks. You've got to realize this is a very bad place we're going to, and you cannot imagine that you're part of the power structure. You cannot imagine that and get out of all this because you're not part of the power structure. I mean, look at this. Citizens tell gun grabbers, you are coloring outside the lines of constitutional parameters. They're suing New York that they can't bar the Second Amendment. So you get back on the offensive. Now 15 members of Congress are saying we want to see why you're buying thousands of armored vehicles and billions of bullets. It's happening. Fast and Furious is getting back out there. And again, we're in deep trouble because both political parties, to a great extent, are bought and paid for by crony capitalist interests that want to use socialism at the grassroots to control us and crony capitalism on the top of the system to absolutely, totally, and completely get everybody domesticated. And I just don't want to live under this. And I'm told we do have Larry Elder. Very exciting. I don't know why I've never had this guy on, or maybe I did many years ago. It seems I did. You know, it all blurs together. We were doing radio 6 days a week. But he, of course, is one of the most popular talk show hosts out in California. And I'm thinking sometimes he's been syndicated. Again, I don't have time to follow a lot of media outside of what we do and what the establishment throws at us. But he's hosted the Larry Elder Show for more than 15 years. That's right, nationally syndicated. And I just know every time I see clips of him, it's always just extremely informative. And he's been on everything from Oprah to you name it, LarryElder.com. And I'm very, very excited to have him on the broadcast with us to talk about the state of the world and how crazy everything's gotten and what he expects the collectivists to do. I see him trying to play us off against each other as much as they can desperately so that we don't get together and unify around the Bill of Rights and Constitution. Larry, it's good to have you on with us. Thanks for spending time.
Alex, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. Wow, so much is going on out there in the world. What is front and center on your radar screen?
Well, Alex, as I was trying to tell Mr. Piers Morgan when I was on there a couple of weeks ago, if you really want to talk about gun violence in America, the face of gun violence, as horrific as Sandy Hook was, is not the face of some suburban kid. A kid is more likely to be struck by lightning, Alex, than to be killed in a school shooting. The face of gun violence in this country is a 15-year-old girl who performed at Obama's inauguration who was killed by one of those to whom it may concern gang-related bullets. It's a 6-year-old Latina girl who was sitting on her porch one night in March last year, Alex, one of 5 people to be killed in that hour in Chicago. Chicago is a city right now which is on track for 2 Sandy Hooks per month. And if you look at the demographics of Chicago, the city is roughly a third black, a third white, and a third Hispanic. However, the homicides, 70% of them are committed by black people, and usually the victim is almost always another black person. Take New York. New York, demographically, about 46% or so white, about 17 to 20% Hispanic, about that same number of blacks. However, according to Police Commissioner Kelly, 96% of the homicides are committed by black and brown people. Almost always, Alex, the victim is another black or brown person. Now, the question is, why is this going on? We have a couple of possible suspects. One is racism. Problem with that is during Jim Crow, when we had not only de facto segregation, but we had legal segregation, you didn't find this kind of criminality coming from the black community. What about racism? During the Great Depression, 50% of the black adults were unemployed. 50%. You did not find this kind of criminality. 70% today of black kids are born outside of wedlock. That is triple the number back in 1965. Today, 50% of Hispanic kids are born outside of wedlock, about 35% of white kids. Now, I mention that because there's a direct relationship between not having a father in the house and fill in the blank of your favorite social ill, whether it's dropouts, whether it's unemployment, whether it's just gun homicide. A direct relationship between not having a father in the house and bad behavior. And we've incentivized people into having children without getting married because we've given people money after the so-called war on poverty was launched. Lyndon Johnson, Alex, literally sent poverty workers going door to door in inner city households, letting women know of their so-called rights to welfare, provided there was no man in the house. So from 1965, the percentage of black kids born outside of wedlock has tripled as we spent $16 trillion on so-called poverty programs. We've incentivized people into making bad decisions. We've allowed women to get food stamps, AFDC, you name it. A woman with 2 children living on welfare is making more money than she would if he had a minimum wage job. And we've allowed the man to abandon his financial and moral responsibility. Bill Cosby calls such men unwed fathers. That's what we've done for the last 50 years, and the left can't come to the conclusion, oh, my Lord, what have I done? So they got to blame racism, sexism, and, yes, high-capacity magazines.
Well, absolutely. I saw you with one of our reporters do an interview a few weeks ago, David Ortiz, and that's why Ortiz wanted to get you on to expand on all of this, because it's so crazy that now you say, I don't want socialist health care, racist. I don't want, you know, to have all of this corporate welfare, racist. I want my Second Amendment. And then the Fox columnist and others say, well, that's racist. And I go, explain to me how it's racist. And they go, I'm not going to. I'm going to throw that out to distract the whole debate. And then I go back to Margaret Sanger, who said, look at these black communities. They're becoming wealthy. They're self-sufficient. We're not going to integrate to bring real equality. We're going to integrate so we can get rid of these weeds. We've got to pose as liberals. Are you familiar? I mean, you're pretty smart and obviously informed guy, but most people aren't that I talk to, of her writings and stuff. And that I don't think the left actually did this on accident. A lot of bleeding hearts actually think it's good and actually want to help people. But the higher ups, I mean, the Democratic Party was the Ku Klux Klan party, but when they couldn't suppress blacks anymore by the 20s and 30s, they became the Democrats.
The history of the Democratic Party has been completely skanky. The members of the Democratic Party formed the Klan. The Klan used to be called the terror wing of the Democratic Party. And you're right about Margaret Sanger. She was a proponent of eugenics. She believed that certain people were socially undesirable, and they were usually poor, young black women. You know, I've written a book about this called Dear Father, Dear Son, 2 Lives, 8 Hours, where I talk about the importance of fathers. And one of the things I try and do, Alex, is use sources that people can't impeach. You know, I could use the Heritage Foundation. They've done all sorts of studies showing the lack of fathers and all the social ills that I mentioned. Charles Murray wrote a wonderful book called Losing Ground, arguably the most important book about the devastation to the nuclear intact family by the welfare state that's been written in the last 50 years. So I use people like that well-known neocon Tupac Shakur. After he died, Alex, there was a documentary that came out called Resurrection. And in the documentary, he said, I know for a fact if I had had a father in my life, I would have had some discipline and I would have been more confident. A man needs to be raised by a man. And then he proceeded to explain why he joined gangs. He wanted protection, he wanted structure, and he wanted values. He's saying this. I'm not saying this. This is Tupac Shakur. And the LA Times had a poll back in the 80s, and they asked poor people and non-poor people the following question. Do you believe that young poor women often have children to get additional welfare benefits? The majority of non-poor people said no. However, when poor people were asked the same question, do you believe that young poor women often have children to get additional benefits, 64% said yes. So they're telling us we're just not listening. And one time I had on my show one of these so-called black leaders, Kwesi Mfume. I haven't been able to get Jackson or Farrakhan or Sharpton on my show in 20 years. But Kwesi Mfume, when he was in the head of the NAACP, came on. And to his credit, I asked him the following question. Mr. Mfume, as between the presence of white racism, which you often talk about, or the absence of black fathers, which in my opinion you don't talk about enough, which poses a bigger threat to the black community? And without missing a beat, he said the absence of fathers. So they're telling us we're just not listening.
You're right. And then they'll say we need fathers, but do everything to destroy them, and then promote and embrace the most destructive, fake, gangster culture stuff. And again, the young boys don't have a father, so then they see MTV, and the tough guys that are the male role models, are these gangster drug dealers. I mean, look, this has been done on purpose. I mean, there's no way, and I've got the documents and evidence. I've gone over it. I covered my film Endgame, and I've actually read quite a few of the blurbs and articles where people have picked up some of your writings. I need to read your books. I need to carry them in our bookstore. Tell us some about your books, because this is something that can be used, the knowledge you're laying out, to empower people. And I think I'm going to read them. Other people should as well.
Well, Alex, my book, Dear Father, Dear Son, is about my relationship with my own father, which was not good. My father was what I call a junkyard dog dad. He was a Montford Point Marine. They were the equivalent of the Tuskegee Airmen. He was the first black Marines. There were 20,000 of them that trained in North Carolina. So rough, tough guy. And I misunderstood his tough exterior for lack of love. He beat us with a belt, with a telephone cord. Not uncommon the way people were punished in those days, especially if the adult came from the South. But I just mistook that for lack of love. So when I'm 15 years old, my dad and I have this furious fight, and we don't speak for 10 years. And finally, I'm 25 years old. We sit down and we speak. I figured the conversation would last 10 minutes. It lasted lasted 8 hours. And during that period of time, I found out that the name Elder, my last name, is the name of the boyfriend who was in his life the longest. He never married his mother. He was an alcoholic who beat my father and his mother. My dad comes home from school, has a fight with the mother's then boyfriend, a different man than Elder. The mother sides with the boyfriend. My dad is thrown out of the house, never to return. We're talking about a black kid, Jim Crow South, age of 13, a year or two before the beginning of the Great Depression, Athens, Georgia. And my dad never returned home. And despite all of his troubles, my dad always told my brothers and me this: hard work wins. You get out of life what you put into it. No matter how hard you work, bad things are going to happen. And how you respond to those bad things will tell me whether or not your mother and I raised a man. And I would always say, not too much pressure, Dad. My point is this: he was around. He was a rough, tough, imperfect father, but he was around, and by word and by deed,
exactly,
he taught me what it's like to be a dad.
Well, they say a dad's got to be perfect, and you know what? Your dad gets scared. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not listening. You're out of control. I'll tell you, it's better to have brutal discipline than no discipline at all. These kids are a wreck, so they end up in prison. They end up dead, and it's because they've destroyed fathers in America that now what happened to the black community has been done everywhere else, and it is destroying our civilization.
And, Alex, the key is hard work. The formula is very simple. Graduate from high school, don't have a kid before you're 20 years old, and get married before you have the kid. James Q. Wilson said anybody who follows that formula will not be poor. If you fail to follow that formula, there's a good chance you are going to be poor. So the question is, what are we doing to incentivize, or perhaps more importantly, what are we doing to de-incentivize people into following that formula? That's what's going on here. And we know it works, Alex, because in 1996, Bill Clinton reluctantly signed the Welfare Reform Act. What happened? Welfare rolls declined by over 50%. So we know that a bunch of able-bodied and able-minded people were on the couch. They got off after they realized the jig was up. We need to continue that, and welfare needs to be done at the state and local level. The federal government needs to get out of it altogether, and we need to encourage the so-called 1,000 points of life. There are a whole bunch of people in the community doing stuff, big brothers, big sisters. I belong to an organization called A Place Called Home, where I contribute money to an organization that teaches people on computers, and that's what you have to do in the short run, because there aren't fathers here. You have to incentivize people to get into their communities and to being mentors for these young people until we turn out the culture, which is changing policies and letting people know it is not a good idea to be an unwed father. That's an expression that Bill Cosby has been using. My mother and my dad has been using.
Oh, yeah. People think it's so cool to go get young women pregnant and then just turn your kids loose to be destroyed. There is nothing more punkish than that.
And you know, when I mentioned Kawese Mfume, this is the guy who turned his life around, Alex. This is the guy who had 4 or 5 kids by 4 or 5 different women and then turned his life around and has been dedicating himself to trying to improve things in the black community. The thing that really bothers me about some of these so-called black leaders, whether it's Farrakhan, Jackson, or Sharpton, they all should know something about the importance of fathers, because in their own lives, their fathers were either absent or bad dads. Jackson's father was the married man who lived next door to his teenage mother, got her pregnant. Jackson grew up in South Carolina with taunts. Jesse ain't got no daddy. Jesse ain't got no daddy. It bothered him. In the case of Sharpton, Sharpton was middle class until his father abandoned the family, then down to the ghetto. In the case of Farrakhan, his mother was estranged from her husband, had a boyfriend, took back up with the estranged husband, got pregnant, didn't want the boyfriend to know, so she tried to abort Farrakhan with a coat hanger on several occasions. So all
well, that's right. When you cheat on your wife, folks, you're really cheating on your kids. I mean, that's the bottom line. People think it's so cool to cheat. They think it's really sexy, really fun. I'm not judging people that have done it. We're human. Stuff goes. But the point is, it's certainly not something to be proud of.
One of the greatest expressions I've ever heard about this, Alex, is the best thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. Because when these kids get into the streets, Alex, with no father, they're thin-skinned, they're angry, they resent adults. They have no idea on how to resolve disputes in an intelligent way without profanity and without violence. That's one of the many things you see when you have an adult relationship in your house with your mother and your father. You're watching adults resolve disputes. You're watching a guy get up and go to work when he doesn't feel like it. That's what you don't see. Hard work wins. And we're discouraging that with our welfare state and by incentivizing people into making bad moral decisions.
Now, it was, who was the football coach that said, winners never quit and quitters never win?
Sounds like something Lombardi would say.
That's who said it, yeah. It's so true, though. I mean, I go down to demonstrations and things, and we'll have communists and socialists down there, and I'll walk up and they'll go, oh, look, it's a capitalist. And I look at them and I'm like, look, I mean, you really think communism is better than what free market and freedom creates? I said, look at what communism does. They just laugh. I mean, they really think that when they collapse America into communism, they're going to have some great time. I mean, they're just idiots. They're just idiots. They're just morons. They have no idea what they're doing.
Well, you know, in 1900, at all three levels, Alex, government took about 7% of the nation's income. Right now, when you put a monetary value on so-called unfunded mandates, we're talking about federal, state, and local taking over 40% of the people's income. One of the reasons America has been so great is that we trusted our people with our own money and with our own time. We no longer do that. We've got a president who's now added a fourth leg to our welfare state. We got Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and now Obamacare. Until and unless we reverse that, we're going to still underproduce. 2% sucks as GDP. We should be rocking and rolling at 4 and 5%. We should be creating 3 and 4 and 500,000 jobs per month, the way we did at this juncture during the Ronald Reagan recovery. This is the worst recovery since the Great Depression. It's because of these policies.
Well, it's not a recovery. I mean, that's even a hoax.
Well, you're right. That last quarter we had negative growth, although they had revised it upwards a little bit. This is just awful. And you look at the percentage of people, able-bodied people, who've just given up. The labor force participation rate is what we ought to be looking at.
Well, I think I know a lot of hardworking people that are giving up because they're sick of watching lazy people sit around and live off them. But then that's what happens in any socialist society. Finally, the people working 3 jobs give up, and, man, then things really get bad.
Well, that's what Mitt Romney was talking about with the 47%. People weren't listening. Once you get to a point where over 50% of the voters are not paying federal income taxes, they can march in there and pull the lever for a raise on somebody else's dime. We are in deep.
Well, yeah, they spun it that he didn't care about the other percent. No, he was saying they're not listening to me. They're on the government payroll. They don't care. They don't care.
Well, you mentioned how they spin it, and that really is a deeper problem. When everybody talks to me about the postmortem, what Mitt Romney could have done, and could have done this, could have done that, there's plenty of things he could have done and could have said that might have made him win. But you have to go to the what I call the mainstream media, Alex. All these people, ABC, NBC, CBS, I call it MSNB hee-haw, virtually every...
No, they all distort everything. Stay there. Wow, this is amazing. Larry Elder is a really interesting person. We got to have him on for a full hour soon. We'll come right back with a conclusion with Larry Elder straight ahead. His website, LarryElder.com.
If you're listening, you know your basic freedoms are being threatened every day. If you're listening, you know the economy is not getting better. You know gas and food prices are skyrocketing. Now is the time to get prepared. For years, we've told you about our friends at eFoods Direct. They have the best tasting, long-term storable food on the planet. This food will taste just as great 25 years from now as it does tonight. A long-term food supply allows you to freeze the cost and the availability of the one thing you need most. Be prepared and get your supply from eFoods Direct. Right now is the best time to stock up and save hundreds of dollars with free shipping on all food supplies. Give yourself peace of mind and be prepared. Act now and call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Get free shipping on all orders for a limited time. Call 800-409-5633 or go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
Digestive health is the key to wellness and elimination of toxins. That bears repeating. Digestive health is the key to wellness and elimination of toxins. And Pro EM1 Daily Probiotic Cleanse is the key to digestive health. Pro EM1 is a powerful liquid probiotic, strong enough to cleanse, gentle enough to use every day. Pro EM1 is dairy, wheat, and soy-free, contains all natural and certified organic ingredients, contains no preservatives or animal products, supports a healthy digestive and immune system, supports weight loss, improves absorption of food nutrients, aids in controlling yeast infections, is never freeze-dried, and uses 3 groups of live, viable, beneficial microbes to cleanse and remove toxins. Order Pro EM1 Daily Probiotic Cleanse at Teraganix.com, spelled Teraganix.com, Teraganix.com. Or call toll-free 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Pro EM1, the raw probiotic.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's carnivora.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
I hear the train coming, it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since...
By the way, I'll be back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central on stations like 590 a.m. here in Austin, Texas. We got Rosa Corey on the other end doing interviews for an upcoming film. I just ran back over here. I tell you, talk about working too much. I'm doing way too much. Half the time, it's all crazy. Larry Elder, I've heard him on the radio many times and had a chance to read some of the articles that are out there that he's put out, and it's just spot on with the problems that our society is facing. It's just the collectivists. I go back to this. I've read their writings. They did this on purpose. They want to dominate us. They want to control us. They want us dependent. And I think we should not call liberals liberals. I really think whenever I talk to prominent libertarian conservatives like Mr. Elder, I say, look, can we please stop calling them liberals? Because Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. These people are not liberals. They're authoritarian, social engineering, eugenicist-based monsters at the top. Their writings are public. They think we're idiots. And quite frankly, I think it's despicable how they are trying to invoke racial division at a level that's cartoonish. Larry, I mean, am I wrong in saying that we shouldn't call them liberals and that the race baiting, I mean, it's obvious who the, not even racists are. They're just trying to divide people like social engineers coldly. I mean, you turn on MSNBC, it is absurdist. It's so over the top that if you don't agree to everything they want, you're a racist with no reason why you're a racist.
Well, they're the ones who are the bigots. The other day on my show, I was called out because there's an LAPD officer, black officer, who's suing the LAPD, claiming that he's a victim of racial discrimination. And you look at his complaint, Alex, there's a bunch of, like station house pranks. Somebody put some fried chicken on a cake on his 20th anniversary in the forest. Somebody put a little mock caption on a picture of him with Stanford and Son. BFD. This is the kind of stuff that cops do, for crying out loud. It's nothing more than a shakedown. This guy calls up, he's very angry at me, describes himself as white, and says, how dare you? You never seem to acknowledge racism, yada, blah, etc. I said, you're the one who's a bigot, sir. Here I am simply outlining my case, and you're angry at me because a black person is, quote, siding with the wrong guy? What does that even mean? These guys are the ones who play the race card. Donna Brazile is the one who referred to the Republican Party as having a white boy attitude. She said this when she was the campaign manager for Al Gore. Out here in L.A., there's a state senator named Diane Watson, who later on ran and became a U.S. congresswoman during a fight to get rid of race-based preferences in California. The guy who led the fight was a black man named Ward Connerly. So Diane Watson, a black woman, comes out and attacks him and says, let me tell you why you're supporting getting rid of race-based preferences. You are married to a white woman. You don't want to be black. You're not proud of yourself as a black man. That's why you support this. Can you imagine anybody Republican saying that to anybody? And then 2 days later, when a reporter confronted her, she said, that's right, I said it, and I don't take it back. And she ran for Congress and got elected. I can give you example after example after example of where people on the left make the most hideous charges. Charlie Rangel said of Republican Congress after 1994, when they took it over, he said they don't say S-word anymore, a slur for Hispanics. They don't say N-word anymore, the slur for blacks. He used the actual slur. They don't say S or N-word anymore. They just say, let's cut taxes. So cutting taxes is racist. Charlie Rangel also said George W. Bush was our Bull Connor. For people under 20 years old, Bull Connor was that Southern sheriff who stick water hoses in dogs on civil rights workers when they were marching with Martin Luther King. Are you kidding me? George Bush is our Bull Connor? And furthermore, Charlie Rangel added, and if that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what will, end of quote. Unintentionally.
Well, now Charlie Rangel, who's been on this show before, said we must overcome white Southerners, and so did Sharpton, something similar, to get the guns, like having guns is only for white people. Martin Luther King said be colorblind, which I agree with, and then the opposite. They're always about the color instead of the character of the deeds and what the person stands for.
But for the Second Amendment, a whole lot of these civil rights workers and people that were defending themselves would be dead.
You know what? Let's do a look. Can you do like 5 more minutes to actually expand on that?
Sure I can.
We're back in 1 minute, going a little bit of overdrive. My website's Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. His is LarryElder.com. We'll be back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central.
Thank Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship, body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
You know, on the issue of corporal punishment, I think it's very important. And the few times I did things that were really bad, like take money out of my mom's purse or something because I wanted a cap gun or something, you know, my dad gave me a really good whooping. We got in trouble with the football coaches when we were bad or got in trouble. They'd give us a bunch of pops. You notice they've taken all that out, and now people just shoot each other. But I'm already segueing off because I wanted to, with Larry Elder, the big nationally syndicated libertarian talk show host and conservative commentator and best-selling author as well. He's all over everything from CNN to Fox News to you name it. But we only have a few minutes left. But you were getting into your dad, and I understand going too far, really coming from the hard streets and then still trying to be a dad, and your kids aren't doing what you're saying. It's just nowadays they act like if you just spank your child, it's criminal when it's not. And it's much meaner to not teach someone that, hey, there's consequences to something if you're not going to listen to me, and if grounding you isn't enough. I won't apologize for corporal punishment. I don't have to do it very much, but they know it's there. And my wife won't spank my kids. And so sometimes they don't do what she says, or she doesn't do it very often. They know I will, and just from that, they won't do stuff like walk out in the street. So I'm not, but that's a side issue. I just wanted to see if you had anything else to say about corporal punishment.
Well, all I know is if my dad had died with his estate having money, and if the statute of limitations hadn't expired, Alex, I could sue the SOB for excessive punishment based on the way people are right now.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? People used a belt in those days. People used a telephone cord. They used whatever they could, whatever was nearby. But they did it out of love. As imperfectly as we see that right now, they did it out of love. And, Alex, my dad worked 2 full-time jobs as a janitor. He cooked for a family on the weekend, went to night school 3 nights a week to get his GED because, as I mentioned, he was thrown out of the house by his mom when he was 13 years old. So the guy averaged maybe 4 hours of sleep a night for decades. So you add that plus his background, and, okay, he wasn't Ward Cleaver. He wasn't warm and fuzzy.
But it's true. The media acts like if you even yell at your kid, it's abuse. That's because they don't want the parent in control. They're going to put them on Ritalin and Prozac, to make them behave, which is assaulting their brain viciously. The truth is, dads get mad when they've got to spank their child because you hate it so much you get even madder, even though you don't show it, that you've got to do this to make them behave.
And as I mentioned, it is important for us to learn morals and values. In my book, Dear Father, Dear Son, I talk about, with my dad, a prison chaplain of a federal prison who wanted to improve the morale of the prison. So he went to one of these major greeting card companies and got 500 greeting cards for Mother's Day. Took them back to the prison, and sure enough, the men filled them out, sent them off to good old mom, and morale in the prison improved. So he thought he would do the same thing for Father's Day. And you know where I'm going with this story. He
caused a riot.
Greeting card company gets 500 greeting cards for Father's Day. Not one inmate, Alex, not one wanted to send it out and send it to Dad. Now, what does it tell you?
That you're 4 times more likely to end up in prison if you don't have a dad at home.
That's right. The people who are behind bars, 3 out of 4 of them had either no relationship or a bad relationship with their fathers.
It's incredible. We only got a minute left, but the whole issue, it's on record that the Second Amendment would allow the civil rights movement to happen. The first gun laws were by the Klan in the South to not let newly freed black Americans have their guns.
And people don't realize that. The Klan, as I mentioned, used to be called the terror wing of the Democratic Party. And as far as the civil rights movement is concerned, Democrats voted unanimously against the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment that freed blacks, that made them citizens right away, and at least on paper gave them the right to vote. Democrats voted against that stuff unanimously. And if you look at the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as a percentage of the party, more Republicans voted for it than did Democrats. So it puts a lie to this so-called Southern strategy as being racist. What sense does it make to join a party where, as a percentage, more of that party voted for the Civil Rights Act of 64 than the party you left if you're leaving because of racial reasons? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's not known that Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Act more than the Democrats. I know it's just a total fraud. It just shows, and not that the Republicans have obviously got their big issues too, but I mean the Democratic Party is just such a snake-like organization that they're just so over the top. Larry Elder, thank you. That was an amazing interview. Thank you for your time, sir. Next time you're on, I'll be more prepared to really get into things with you, sir.
Anytime, Alex, anytime.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. There goes Larry Elder. Let's get him on in a month or so to take calls. We're going to be going into retransmission now. Great job of the crew. Have a great, safe weekend. I'll see you back Sunday, 4 to 6 Central. Nightly news tonight with Jim Mars and a lot more, 7 o'clock. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing.